Oh, right. It's like you didn't have a lighter anymore to do the dang. Right? Stop smoking cigs. Stop carrying a lighter around with me.
I never got into the cigs.
Oh, I was hard.
Has it been brutal or has it been all right?
No, not too bad. Not too bad, but with the crutch of constant
Yeah, for sure.
breeze life.
I know. I've been off for like a year and a half. And
Okay.
I'm still just pounding these intravenous drip of these nicotine pouches at all times. Well, it got rough though because during COVID, I started working from home.
Yeah, that's what I do too.
I'm setting up shop at the kitchen table. I open the window. I live by myself, so I'm just sitting there puffing heaters, just chain smoking American spirits.
Yeah, you and me both, dude.
Pack and a half a day. Those things last like 8-10 minutes. And I'm just,
Jesus, shit's expensive too.
Yeah, and they're
right?
$13 a pack or whatever.
Dude.
Christ.
But they're all natural. They're organic, so I'm safe. You know?
Right.
I got lucky. I never like got addicted. You know, I literally tried. You know, like to get addicted. You know, like it was like I did all I could to be a smoker, but it just never happened. So.
Oh man, it happened for me like almost instantly.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
It was
I was like, oh, I like these.
Oh,
Right,
yeah,
right.
for sure.
Yeah, just never like I was like 13 or whatever. You know, older people buying me fucking my older brother. You know,
Right.
and shit like
Here,
giving me
kid, hit
cigarettes
this.
and shit.
Yeah.
And like just never happened, and I'm so thankful that it didn't. So,
Oh yeah, lucky you.
yeah.
I never even started until I was 18. But I was
Same.
like, oh, I can go buy these now. So why not? You know?
Took me moving away from home, moving to college.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Because like, you know, when you're a teenager and a bunch of your friends smoke and you don't.
Yeah.
If I would have like been smoking as a 16-year-old, I'd been like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But then go live with a bunch of strangers.
Right.
Like, ha ha ha. Start smoking all the time.
Well, I don't know, like age-wise, how old you are, but I'm sure it was still back when you could like smoke in
Yeah.
the bars too. So same shit,
Yeah.
man. You get out to college, it's like, oh, this is all you're on your own. It's like a fucking animal off the chain for the first time, just sitting in bars, just
Right,
fucking
right.
ripping
Getting down.
heaters, dude. Yeah.
Is that kind of like drinking too? Because like you could find like, you know how like to say like Americans are like fucking because you don't drink it all till you're 21 or whatever,
Yeah.
quote unquote, you know, and then all of a sudden that's why there's so many like alcoholics that go way too hard with it. You know?
Yeah, but if you're an Italian and your dad gives you wine when you're 10,
drinking wine,
you make
your
a
whole
fool of
life.
yourself or get all hungover when you're a
Right,
child.
right.
You're like, oh, I
You learn your lesson.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and plus the whole mysterious factor is kind of out the
Exactly.
window. You know, it's not this like forbidden fruit over there.
Right,
You gotta
doesn't
wait for
seem
this special
dangerous
age,
or
Yeah. It's like Catholic girls with fucking. You know? That's a thing, dude. You know,
It
like,
is.
Yeah,
It is. You're not wrong.
yeah. So fucking. Thank you for coming, man.
Hey, thanks for asking me, man.
Yeah,
I
dude.
love doing this kind of stuff.
Yeah, nice. So I don't really know you, but
This is the first time we've ever met.
yeah, indeed. But like, you know, some of we have mutual friends. I think.
Definitely.
Like, you know, like Ingersoll.
I do.
Like Mod, like those dudes. Yeah. Okay.
I've never really been like a metal band guy myself.
Okay.
But I like that kind of music.
Right.
And especially when I was first back from college and we were doing King Crabapple, those were the bands we played with.
Oh, okay.
So like whatever, the Infinite dudes and basically all the heavy bands that were playing in 2007 or 8.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, we were like playing hip hop, but
Right. Which is awesome too.
Yeah.
I mean, we do. I love everything. you
Yeah,
know?
same.
Yeah, for sure.
that's probably most of our kind of common connections.
Right,
is
right.
heavy scene or whatever.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
Did you like go to school in Muskegon and shit? Like you grew
I
up
went
in
to Muskegon. Yeah, I'm born and raised. Went to Muskegon High.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice. Yeah, we're Fruitport guys.
Okay. Do you know some of those Fruitport punks then?
I mean, probably, maybe. I mean, I guess
Almost assured. That,
Like the Duck Bomb dudes and stuff like that.
No, I can't say.
Oh, that's like high school punk days.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they might have been a little after my time. I don't know.
How old are you?
I am 39.
So you're like 2 years older than me.
Okay. Yeah.
Sure.
Getting up there, man. It's
I
crazy.
know. I don't like to think about it too hard.
I don't give a shit. You know, I'm still doing this and whatever.
Right,
you know,
right.
like-
Yeah, it's not so bad, right?
Yeah.
It's
you
so
know,
sad. I'm literally going to get my hip looked at tomorrow. Like I'm fucking 75, dude.
Yeah,
It's
man.
like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I'm even 39 till
I
next
know.
month. I got my hips going out.
Right.
Shit's brutal.
Working around here, like it's the first time I've ever had like pain in my knees. I'm like, oh shit, you know, up and down the stairs. I'm like, God damn it,
Getting old.
Got the osteoporosis starting to kick in and shit, dude.
Getting old.
When'd you start drumming?
I was like 12.
Oh,
so
nice.
I did the
Okay.
whole school band thing.
Me too. Yeah. I was
marching band.
hard into marching band. I was
Yep.
deep.
I was sort of into marching band enough to get by. I didn't do jazz band in school, even though I wish I would have.
Yeah.
And I didn't start playing kit till I was like 16, probably,
Okay.
maybe
Gotcha.
17.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What did you play in marching band, percussion wise?
Cymbals for a year.
Okay.
Bass drum 2 of 5 for 2 years, and tenors for a year.
Nice. Nice.
And I
nice.
really only played tenors because I had to. Because like there was like a gap and they made me. I would have loved to stay on bass drum. I loved playing pitch bass drum.
Yeah, I
Seems like
love
it'd be a
bass
fun
drums,
thing,
but
It's super cool.
it's a unique place to be. Bass drums, like, because you got to learn like everybody's part, but you only play your part. Oh, I know, I'm deep. I
That's
was
exactly
deep on it. I
right,
know how.
man.
Yeah, I spent many years in drumline.
And I got to play number 2, so it's all the E's and U's.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know, so it's like all the upbeats.
Yeah, yeah.
And you get very odd parts
Yeah.
that by themselves don't
Yep.
sound like anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
It always seemed like the counts for playing marching bass would be hard as hell.
It-
to
well,
learn, 'cause I
that's-
played so much, but I feel like I, read music and everything. Obviously.
Yeah.
We both played snare back in the day, but just the fucking those little like and all these 8th rests.
Oh, and that's the part that I
Crazy
liked
shit.
about it the most is it still serves me well to this day about being able to hear those partials or like, pick out a bunch of E's and U's in a row.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I always really liked the like, much like being in a rock and roll band, like it works at its best when you kind of become one thing.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you feel like these separate people, but when
Yeah.
it's a really moving.
A drum line is very
Yeah.
much like it, and especially a bass drum line. 'Cause, like,
Yeah.
it's almost like it's like one instrument. Like everybody's like one instrument.
Exactly.
And everybody just has one drum of that one instrument. And yeah, it's like it's weird because like high schools, especially and stuff, will put the like less talented drummers on bass drums. But if you really think about it, it's actually a lot harder.
Yeah.
Like it might actually be harder to play bass drum than like playing snare drum. It's like everything's, like just all the rhythm, like
I think of it more like the bass drum stuff is all very mental.
yeah.
Like my hands are better now than they've ever been. Right? Where a lot of folks that like maybe played marching snare go on to play drum set.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, my hands when I was a teenager, I was ripping.
Yeah.
And they lose a lot of it.
Yeah.
For me,
That's
like,
me. Yeah,
I
yeah,
never really had to have a whole lot of like,
Yeah. Snare drum's definitely way choppier. Like
Yeah,
you gotta have
way
more, like,
choppier.
Yeah. I mean, especially when you get into the upper level stuff on snare drums, it's crazy.
cheese, chudda.
Dude,
Forearms
it is
like
crazy.
Popeye out
Yeah,
there.
dude.
Yeah, I did. Were you familiar with Great Lakes Percussion?
I'm not sure. It's vaguely familiar, but
So Great Lakes Percussion was a winter drum line.
sure.
It was there's the different, it was WGA, so it was part of like the actual DCI, like
Yeah.
and we were the quote unquote world class like top of the line, and it was based out of Jenison.
Oh,
And
okay.
so those guys that taught at Jenison and Granville, Hudsonville, like a lot of those teachers put together Great Lakes Percussion. I did that 1 year right out of high school, and it was, that was as far as I got. I went to some drum corps shit, but I never did it because I never wanted to put my whole summer into that.
Right. It's a full-time job.
Yeah, but I mean, like, even going to those camps and the tryouts and shit, like, dude, the music on that shit, and like those guys in GLP that were doing snare and shit, they were like doing cadets and shit, like top level, and they were showing me the music and stuff and like I literally can't explain how crazy the snare drum music is and shit for those fucking top tier.
Like, can you just rip fives with each hand?
Bro. Like just looking at the notation, you're like, what the fuck?
Seriously.
Yeah, people don't understand how hard that shit is, dude. And then you're doing it while you're running, basically. Like,
I got a lot out of doing marching band. Of course, in high school, you're also like becoming your rebellious self or whatever.
Yeah.
So by the time I was getting out of high school, it was like, fuck that. I want nothing to do with formal drill. I'm like, I'm going to go play funk.
Yeah.
I want to jam with my homies.
Yeah.
Like,
I had some of that too. That's why I actually quit. They wanted me to come back the next year on that, and I was like, I'm kind of gonna go like start my own bands and shit.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Like, you know,
it's a little more fulfilling.
For me,
at
it
least
was like
some ways.
I was trying to prove to myself that I kind of had what it took to be at that level.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like I did it, and like I'm like I don't really want to again like. That was in the winter, but it was still like the time commitment was crazy, dude. You know,
For real.
It's a lot of drinking and indoor smoking.
Man, dude.
Right.
And a lot of Contra and Donkey Kong Country that needed to be played.
Yeah, let's get right down to brass tacks.
But still, the most people I ever performed in front of ever was with that group at the finals, which were at like the Nutter Center in Indiana.
Okay.
And that fucking place was packed because it was the finals, and we were like again like the world class top. So it was the end. So it was not only all the spectators, but all of the other groups are there. And so like, and it was like everybody was standing in the aisles all the way up and shit. And like I don't get super nervous trying to perform, but
that's a lot of people.
I was 18, 19 or whatever, and like my fucking tech, you know, that ran what I was doing, he was like, dude, you need to relax. He like, I was pretty fucking nervous going out to that. But our show that year was Incubus and 311.
Oh, cool.
So, which was also very dope, right? You know,
Yeah.
like, so that was a fun part of doing
I
that.
think Chad Sexton is a marching guy.
Okay.
Like, I think his background,
Yeah.
I mean, it shows in the way he plays and the absolutely ridiculously high-tuned snare drum.
Right.
Yeah.
What was the band? Was it Jennison Marching Band back in the day that did the 46 and 2 solo? Do you remember catching that?
Yeah, it
Oh,
could
that
be.
would be
There's
dope.
been quite
Yeah,
a
it
few.
was pretty sweet.
Yeah, there was a winter line in one of those things that did a whole Tool thing. They did it was all fucking Schism. It was all like the Lateralis kind of shit and stuff. Like,
That's
moral to that
tight.
story is it takes 12 normal men to do it. I think one Danny
Right.
Carey can rip out of
Right.
himself.
those guys have done like Tool did like a performance with some fucking drumline and shit because like Adam Jones' nephew or something was in it or something, and they did a whole fucking thing.
Sure.
That's badass.
And something's going on right now with Metallica has some sort of marching band like competition or I don't know what it is. I saw it like it's like popping up, you know. But it's like
okay.
indeed.
Lars is going Simon Cowell on there. looking
You
at
know,
the
Lars can't
glasses.
play any of those parts.
I'm a Lars apologist.
Oh, it's cool.
Big
No,
Lars fan.
he's all right.
No,
I won't be a hater.
It's fun. I have more fun. It's so easy to hate on him that I have more fun being the guy that argues against the haters just for fun.
Going counter culture.
Yeah, exactly.
Out there.
I'm so nonconformist that I'm conformist.
I do think. I mean, I do think for Lars and the folks like Travis Barker, Neil Peart to a degree, where like even if they don't have to be your favorite, but like they made people play drum set.
Oh yeah,
You know what I mean?
right.
Like the ambassador, like to
Yeah.
get kids excited about playing drums.
Yeah, for sure. And Lars, like, it's so much more with Lars than a drummer. Like, he was really like the guy that put that whole band together.
Right.
I mean, like, there's a logistical thing that dude did that's like not to be fucking taken lightly.
Right.
You know what that guy did to put that band together. You know.
And some of the parts are cool.
Yeah. I think that he's gotten so much shit the last couple of years that I think he's made an effort to improve.
It
I
seems
think
like
it
it.
shows, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Like,
it does.
You know?
It
But I mean,
does.
like, you know, I never had any fucking problem with Lars throwing down back in the day. You know, like he was always crushing as far as I was concerned. You know,
A motivated chip on his shoulder, Lars, is dangerous.
it
man.
really is.
right,
Yeah,
right.
you know, kind of don't want to
Like,
fuck
yeah,
with
keep
Lars.
talking shit.
Are you a Metallica guy? Did you catch the new album at all?
You know, I haven't listened to it.
Yeah.
I really like Justice.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I like the thrashy ones before that, but not as much as Justice.
Yeah.
And I like the 90s ones because they're good songs.
yeah.
I love those records too. Dude.
You know, man, Black Album was very important when I was 12.
Oh, it was huge.
You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah, it was monsters.
I remember thinking like, this is the best guitar playing I have ever heard.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
You know?
I still love that record.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah,
And when
it's
I go
great.
back and listen to it, I'm like,
It
yeah,
holds
shit-
up, dude.
Shit holds
that
up.
fucking record's badass.
I listen to Harvester of Sorrow today.
Yeah, nice, yeah. And Justice for All is the shit, too,
Yeah.
no doubt.
I'm
Yeah.
a Justice and Master Puppets
Yeah.
guy for sure.
Yeah,
Those are
yeah.
my two.
It's about where I'm at,
One's
too.
like my favorite Metallica
Yeah.
song ever. That's one of my favorite songs, period, ever. I love that
It is
shit.
very good stuff.
You ever catch they call called Injustice for Jason, where they bump the bass up on Injustice for All.
And by bump the bass up, you mean put it back in the first place?
Yep. It's awesome, dude.
Probably just fattens it all
awesome.
up, huh?
And well, also like, dude, he fucking. I mean, I've always been a Newsted fan, but like, dude, his playing on that is fucking good. I was like, damn, he's really laying it down. Like,
yeah.
I was like, Jesus Christ, they really need to just like remaster this whole thing and put it out for real.
They're in the studio like mute.
You imagine the first time that poor bastard heard the final mix
Yeah.
on
He's
that.
probably so
just
mad.
a single tear trickling down.
I just read an
Newsted's face.
interview from it was I'm a kind of a Guitar World subscriber and shit, and on their thing they put up on their Facebook or whatever, they put up like old interviews, right? And it was Jason Newsted, 1991, just before the Black Album came out. So it was like they're starting to promote the Black Album, and they're like, so what's different on this compared? But of course they ask him like, how did you feel about, and he was like, I was beyond livid, like, just like just the whole thing. But like,
oh yeah, dude, the amount of man hours he must have put into that shit.
Well, that's
hear that come out. It's like, what the fuck?
that's the thing is he laid
here?
his shit down in like a week. If that, like even a band at Metallica size then, I mean, like it didn't take them that long to make that album.
But all the hours to get to that point is, it wasn't like he just picked that shit up and
Yeah, it's
did
not
it
like
in
they're
a
easy
week.
tunes.
Yeah. But yeah, it was. I wish I fucking could remember more about what he was saying about it. But and then like, and it's like obviously everybody's asked Lars and everybody about it, and he's like, it's not like we were like, fuck this guy, it's not Cliff Burton. He was like, it was the James and Lars show. You know, it was all about us. We were producing the record essentially. We were flying in, doing it all, and our ears were fucking shot, and we just kept going, turn up the drums, turn up the guitar, turn up the drums, turn up the guitar, and the next thing you know, the whole mix is nothing but drums and guitar, and any pushback is fucking Lars is going, no, fuck you, we're Metallica.
Right.
I'll do whatever I want.
Bro, we need more Lars right now. Crank that shit.
God. So silly.
Yeah, it is crazy.
I love that just exists in like kind of the annals of rock
I know,
history
right?
too.
It is a
They're
real,
like, hey, there's this record that doesn't have any bass on it.
It's crazy. Yeah. And it is such a weird thing because he was like the new bassist.
Yeah,
like,
you'd think they'd be like, hey, we got this guy in our band now. Check him out. He's great.
Yeah.
Kilo got that fucking red carpet treatment when they were
exactly. It was like
they were
completely the opposite.
Right.
and
They
the
learned their
whole
lesson.
MTV shit and stuff. Like, we're not gonna make the same mistake twice here.
Yeah, indeed. I gotta say, I don't love Rob Trujillo in Metallica.
Nor do I.
He's not my favorite. I feel like he's never fit the bill. I love Newsted. Like, I don't know. Like, Newsted talked about in that interview. He's like, Cliff Burton's the man and everything, but I gotta say, with me coming in picking instead of fingers and stuff, it really tightened up everything about Metallica and stuff. He's like, no disrespect to Cliff Burton, he's the GOAT. He's my favorite. I was a big fan. That's why I'm doing this. But,
right.
Like, I was like, yeah, I've always agreed with that like him picking just makes Metallica. I mean, the fast pick, heavy downstroke shit.
Right.
Trujillo, man, he plays his ass off, but it's always been like a square peg in a round hole. It's never quite.
He's great, but he's always like wearing like the Metallica jersey, and he's like got the real low hanging
crab walking around,
the crab walk, and I'm just kind of like,
part of it's just the visual aspect.
Yeah, it really is.
Down here,
I hate
it's
to
like,
say
something about this is just off.
It strikes me a lot as like style over substance. Like cool. I guess he looks like he's rocking and rolling, but
I mean, it is like he's great, but it's like it's just a fit. It's a fit thing, for as far as I'm concerned. But what are you gonna do? He's now been in Metallica, I think, longer than Newsted was.
I mean, I guess that would make sense.
Yeah, it's been 20 years or whatever that. Fucking,
right.
Yeah, it was 2002, I think, or
20 years of
2003.
mediocre Metallica.
Indeed.
Yeah, seriously.
Hell yeah. Fucking are you right?
Yeah.
I gotta say the new album's choice. So we've been talking about it on here like every week since it's come out, and it's grown on me.
I think I listened to the single when they released it, but it kind of fell right out of the back of my brain.
Yeah.
I don't even really remember what it's like.
There's maybe not a lot of hooks. I feel like lyrically Metallica's kind of fell off from what they used to be. It used to be like very much about something, and now it's a lot vaguer. So like, that was what
Although this album had kind of more of a central theme than the last handful. Right?
It does. I agree.
But also kind of wishy-washy on the lyrics. Not a huge fan on this one. But.
Yeah, and there's not enough fucking like war songs. Like,
Yeah.
we need more machine gun sound
Get right
effects
down
and shit.
to it. That's where it's at.
Yeah, we need more epic themes. You know?
So what? Walk me through your band history a little bit, then.
All right. Well, when I was in college, I played in a funk band, a jam band called the Xiphoid Process. That's that little thing in your chest on the back of your sternum that can break.
okay.
Like, that's why you got to be careful when you do CPR because you can break it and puncture people's hearts.
That's a death touch spot,
yeah,
baby.
yeah. And then when I got out of college, me and my homie William started the group that became King Crabapple.
Okay.
And we did that for like 12 years. Over the course of that time, we had a hip hop group called Project Grizzly. I've been in a punk band called Short Hair Domestics for like 10 or 11 years.
That's a good name.
I play with Biffy the Beat Slayer.
Okay. Yeah.
I've been doing Flexadecible since like 2015.
Yeah. And that's the band I know.
I've been with Kyle Brown and the Human Condition for about a year and a half now.
Okay. I don't know him.
Are there others? Probably.
So you're an all-around band whore then? Is it?
Yeah, I've been in as many as like 7 or 8 at a time.
Oh, yeah. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Drummers, man, especially in Muskegon. Dude.
That's how it is, dude. It's like you got a band in Muskegon. Is it me or Joe Keck? Or Steve
awesome,
Harris?
Right. Yeah.
You know.
And you guys just played the fucking Frauenthal or something? Dude, that
was tight.
Holy shit, man. I wanted to go to that. Something else was going on that night. I couldn't get to it. But I have friends of friends who know the Pink Floyd thing too, you know, like, and so I was like, fuck, I really want to get to that. But man, what was that room like playing on that stage?
Very cool.
I've been on that stage for something else, but it wasn't music. And like, yeah, that's quite a room to be playing.
It was one of those situations that you try to do the thing mid-set where you're like, don't just lose yourself. Like,
remember
pause,
this.
reflect,
Remember.
look up at the balcony and be like, this is cool.
Yeah, that's badass, man.
And, you know, of course, like many opening kinds of slots, the Pink Floyd gear takes up 3/4 of the stage.
For sure.
And we get the real estate left
Yeah.
at the front.
Yeah.
But that also meant that I got to put my drum set at the front
Right up
of the
front.
stage. We were just in a big line all the
Yeah,
way down.
Exactly.
Getting that FaceTime, baby. You gotta love that.
Yeah. And, you know, they did a good job. I'd played there once before with a rap group called HDOE. But I don't know. This is like maybe 2015 or 16 or something like that. I don't think that when I did that first one that they knew there was going to be live drums.
Oh.
So it was, and like it's hip hop, so you're like
Yeah.
also playing to tracks
Yeah.
and headphones.
Yep.
And it was not a very ideal monitor situation.
Yeah.
So I spent that half an hour in like panic mode and didn't even really get to enjoy playing on that big stage.
Right.
But this time it was like, yeah, we got a good sound check and it was all dialed in and
Right.
felt good.
That's awesome. Plus, it was probably pretty fucking full, right? I mean, it was
Pretty full.
sold out, you know?
Yeah.
Or close to, probably.
Yeah.
That's a pretty decent sized venue. Like, what do they see?
2,500, I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Okay.
That might be high.
That's about right. It's got to be about right.
Sure.
Dude. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it was rad. It was
Yeah.
cool. Again, kind of whirlwind because I think we only played for 35, 40 minutes.
Even, well, yeah, 40 minutes would be good. If you get
Yep.
30, it would be what I
Yeah.
think, you know? Like,
Unless I'm doing the punk band, I hate half-hour sets.
I know, it's rough. It's like kind of like, it's not even worth it. Like,
Yeah.
it takes me longer
It's a whole
than
lot
this
of
to set up.
setup time.
Yeah,
dude.
in the
well.
punk band, it's great though because most of the songs are about a minute and a half
you
long.
got- yeah.
So you're just like you play the whole. We just finished tracking our second. I call it album.
Yeah.
It's 11 tunes. It's 20 minutes long.
Nice. That's fun, though, too. Dude.
Yep.
I like that kind of shit,
Yep.
too, though. Yeah.
Get in, kick some ass, and get the hell out.
Yeah,
baby.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. How'd you get into funk?
Oh man, always and forever.
Yeah. I've been obsessed with funk lately, dude.
So,
Obsessed.
do you know the Herbie Hancock record Headhunters? It's only got 4 tunes. It's Chameleon and Watermelon Man and a couple others.
I know Watermelon Man. That's the kind of shit that just comes on a playlist for me, so I
Yeah.
don't know the actual records, you know?
So the album art for Headhunters is like this weird, like kind of cartoony, smiley face devil horn guy. And Watermelon Man's got all the like bottle sounds at the beginning. It's kind of kid friendly.
Okay.
my dad had that record when I was a little kid, and I really liked it. I really liked the music, but also super identifiable. A 4-year-old can go flip through the records and find it. Like, put this on. So yeah, man, early Herbie Hancock when I was like a toddler is where it starts. And I'm of the age too that like a lot of really, really awesome like mid 90s R&B and hip hop and New Jack Swing music and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, funky grooves always and forever.
Did you ever play with a band called Function out of Kalamazoo?
Yeah.
That was my homie Schrock. That was his band.
Yeah, Andrew. I know Andrew.
Yeah, Andrew Schrock.
I went to high school with the trumpet player from that group, Terrence.
Yeah.
Yep. And actually, in the last couple of years, I've seen the drummer Sean and his brother Jeremy performs his brother James.
Oh, cool. Okay.
I've seen them at a handful like festivals.
I've heard of them. I didn't know that was. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I went to like Schrock was like friends with one of my best friends in college, so we hung out all the time.
Sure.
And he's a killer musician, man. Yeah.
That band was great.
Yeah, that band was fucking killer. I kind of don't think they do it anymore. I don't know, but
no, they might be doing some kind of like reunion thing.
Good. I hope so.
Like a one-off or just a couple of dates or whatever.
Yeah, that's badass.
Yeah,
I got to hit up Schrock. Fucking get his bitch ass on here, dude.
I saw him at Earthwork last year.
Nice. Yeah, he's a fucking good dude, man. Love that guy. Are you familiar with, either of you, the record from fucking the band, quote unquote, Silk Sonic that came out last year? Dude, I was turned on to it recently. It's Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak and fucking Bootsy Collins, dude. And I'm obsessed with it. It's getting daily play. I've been playing it for like 3 weeks. It was fucking Jake. Shout out to fucking little Jake from Jake vs. Jake.
Was it Jake or Jake?
Yeah, exactly. He was like, dude, if you love funk, man, you got to check this out. I'm playing it constantly.
Oh shit, I remember you talking about that.
We were, I don't know if it's still on the docket, but we were starting to work on learning Fly As Me for Flex.
Dude, fuck, man.
Yeah.
Every song's great. It's like the perfect record where it's like, it's only like 9 songs. Every one of them's a banger.
Yep.
They're hilarious. And also like the dude, like the singing is just like unbelievable.
Drumming's great. Anderson's
great.
killer,
the
man.
bass is just fucking get out of here. You know, it's just like every song is just like, everything about it's top tier. The production.
Absolutely.
And it makes you feel good. It's fucking feel good, man. Like that's what I love about it.
Sort of in that same vein, are you hip to Fearless Flyers?
No, I want to be though.
Fearless Flyers is Joe Dart from Wolfpack on bass.
Nice.
Corey Wong, who's like, you talk about like funk guitar and like the chicka chickas, like the right hand is like the dopest funk rhythm guitar player.
Nice.
The guitar player Mark Lettieri from Snarky Puppy.
Oh shit.
And the funkiest drummer on earth, Nate Smith.
Okay.
And it's like fast. And they play, all 3 guitar players, or the 2 guitar players and the bass player, use stands. So they like stand in this line of the 3.
Oh, it's
weird. Nate Smith often is just playing kick, snare, hat.
Yeah.
Like no cymbals, no toms.
Yeah.
It's awesome stuff, man.
That is badass, dude. Yeah. If you can fucking crush, I've like, I taught drums a little bit and I have like these like weird philosophies and shit. And some of them are like, take away everything. Like, can you just play, like, even it's that, like, can you play music on that? Or take away your snare drum. Can you still play music on your drums, you know, or like no cymbals or whatever, you know, like.
Well, especially in that genre-ish, like so many jazz kits are just a little scaled down as, you know.
I've been doing, in Short Hair, the like kind of punk band, I've been doing kick, snare, hat, crash the whole time.
Nice.
And it's cool because it makes you do things like, well, you can't just go to the ride for the chorus. Like figure out something different to do. Or it like makes you like more focused on like parts.
That's what I'm saying.
Yep.
Yeah. It puts you in a different, like forces you to like do a different thing.
I'm one of those, man, like for most of my bands, I have a pretty standard setup that I play for that band.
Right.
But when I'm at home, man, all bets are off.
Yeah.
It's mix and match all the time. The kit changes all the time.
Yeah. I switched my shit up for that kit I was just showing you down there. I had that thing set up like in like a mirrored fashion, like the dude from Dream Theater.
Toms on both sides.
Yeah, well, and because that kit has 2 8s. So
I saw that.
2 8s in the middle, and then down like this.
Cool.
So it's like this, and it was cool and it was fun, but after a while, it was actually kind of like.
The gimmick wears off a little bit.
I kind of don't actually love this. Like, it's actually not that easy to play real music on
Well,
this,
yeah, you think about just like a descending tom run. You're leaping back and forth.
Well, it's like, and I was trying to set it up so it was like you'd be going down, like right, left, right, like so you're going down.
Oh,
so it's
sure.
Like, it'd be like that, right? But even that, it's like.
Yeah,
the gimmick, but it was cool because with the 2 8s it puts those centered like that, so it just kind of gives it that perfect thing. And then
right.
I bought one of those do you know those fucking, I forget what the hell they are, but it's a kick drum pedal that's a double kick pedal, but it's like 2 side things, so you're
and
like,
the beaters in the middle,
yeah,
the Fleischmann.
There was this one was the Offset or something like that.
Okay, it's the dude Will Calhoun from Living Color.
Yeah,
is like a kind of proponent of
he's
those.
He's a bad motherfucker.
He is a bad motherfucker.
Yeah, so that's what I did. So the kick could still be in the middle, and so it's like you're playing a double kick setup, but you just got the one kick,
right?
You know, but so,
I can't play double kick to save my life.
No, yeah,
Fuck no.
I don't like. I'm not like I've never been able to do like the fucking heavy ride on the double kick, like fast metal style. That's never been what I've been about. I'm way more about groove, and,
right?
You know, all that shit. But I do like a lot of up down, like 2 and 2 or 2 and 4 kind of shit, like double kick fills, kind of stuff like that. Yeah, that's kind of my bread and butter, honestly. It sounds way harder than it is, so people
right?
You know?
They're like the 4/2. Yeah. Especially if you got 2 pedals.
Yeah. So yeah, that's. But I ended up selling that pedal because it was like a $400 investment for that fucking pedal, and I'm like, I'm not doing this anymore.
Right.
You know? Yeah.
And maybe someday I'll put some effort into double kick, but it's, in like the kind of endless list of things to practice.
Yeah.
Or, you just gotta follow your heart, I guess.
I've almost like never not had a double kick pedal either.
Sure.
So like it was just kind of like always there. But I never got into just like fucking just ride it.
Yeah.
Like it was, I don't know.
Yeah, I can do like the burst, like digga-digga-doom.
Yeah,
that's about all
exactly.
I got.
Yeah.
That's about all I got.
I'm better at it now. When I started playing, dude, I was using not great like kick drum technique, where I was more like flat, like low heel, you know. And, like, 'cause I'm kind of like self-taught on drum kit.
Yeah, me too.
So like nobody was ever like, dude, like pick your fucking heel up and use your whole goddamn leg,
right.
So I'm a little late to the game on that. I mean, it's been a long time now, but your foundations, dude, like is everything.
Yep.
Fundamentals and your technique and shit. And
Absolutely.
that's why I don't like. And I feel like because of marching band, I was taught really good technique. I had some good teachers, so like my fucking hands and stuff are still good to go at this point,
Yeah.
So.
It's weird that stuff sort of drops off, but not completely. The bass player in Flex, Carp, went to Western and did some marching band there. He went to Reese Puffer and Muskegon's high-level marching band stuff.
Yep.
He's a great mallet player and all this stuff. And still to this day, he almost never doesn't play drum set, almost never holds a pair of sticks ever.
Yep.
But will like come to my house and be like, "Oh, what was that warm up?" And like he still got it.
Dynamite.
Yeah, he's totally still got it.
Yep.
And it'd be like a little rusty, be like, "Oh, I used to be able to do it faster." I'm like, "That's good. Like you're doing well."
Yeah, it's that foundational technique, dude.
Yep.
I'm telling you, it's so important in everything. And I'm kind of like that with guitar too, where like because I was taught to do it correctly, where like I don't play guitar. It's like you don't even play guitar and you still just kind of like get better. And I'm not chopped up near like I used to be or nothing, but like it's weird, man. And if you don't have that foundation to fall back on, like your shit gets fucked up. And like I see a lot of drummers like really choppy looking on this, and I hate that
real
shit.
Lars Ulrich.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Bunch of Larses out there.
just fist, like no fulcrum, just fist.
Yeah, that shit
All
kind of drives me
ham-handed.
nuts.
I think it's funny how that stuff can change over time too. Like even just kind of by accident, like even without intentional adjustment.
Oh,
Like my grip's way different now than it was 5 years ago.
yeah.
Yeah. Now it's like way middle finger fulcrum. Looks like I'm like finger guns the whole time. For whatever reason, my like index fingers stick out.
Weird.
And it used to be way more like index finger fulcrum, but now it's like middle finger fulcrum.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I like didn't change it on purpose. And then just time goes by and you keep playing practice pad and keep doing whatever. And I'm like, I do that different now.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, I'm all about the index fingers,
Sure.
fulcrum, you know. Do you know Nate Cohn from Mustard Plug?
Yeah, I actually listened to that episode the other day. I really enjoyed that.
Well, good. He was talking about how he was working with that producer, and that producer was getting all up his ass about hitting harder or whatever he wanted, you know. And it's just it just goes to show that like you're never too old or whatever, you know. It's like there's always somewhere else you can go or learn or new techniques or whatever, you know.
Oh man, I'm a pretty diligent practicer and studier, and I especially for like the last 10 or 11 years in my like adult life.
Yeah.
You know, like learning high school age was a lot of learning.
Yeah.
And then from my like from like college age until my like late 20s. So just like you just playing bands, you play with your friends.
Exactly.
And then I was like, oh, wait a second. I got to practice.
Yep.
And now it's all the time, man.
Been there.
Yep.
Yeah. I kind of like that for me was like vocally, I didn't have any real foundation. I just like started singing when I was whatever in my teenagers or whatever, and I was really not doing it right. And so playing all those gigs and just like, you know, fucking monitors suck and whatever.
We're just yelling.
This was before anybody was using in-ears and shit, and like, yeah, you're basically just screaming, you can't hear yourself. And
right.
I kind of fucked up my voice and stuff. So I had to go back and like unlearn everything, and like it's hard to do when you're in your late 20s, early 30s and shit, you know? Like, it's easier to start from scratch, but it's like you got to undo all your shit techniques and start again, you know?
It's been this is so minutia, but it's been a long road for me. I learned how to do my like single kick doubles.
Yeah.
Like kind of heel toe style.
Yeah.
Like like that.
Yep. I can't do it.
But there was like a gap in tempo where like I would do kind of toe up to a certain point and then fast was heel toe, but there was a space in the middle that I couldn't do the heel toe thing slow and clean. So it's been like years of like, now I try not to do heel toe doubles ever.
Right.
And
That seems like it's got to be a tough thing to dial in, dude.
toe.
Yeah. Well, it's a whole technique, man.
Yep.
People are deep on that shit, dude. Fucking. So I got to get a double kick pedal, dude.
No, it's just why you got to work out your single kick like crazy.
I've never been able to do that shit, dude. And those guys, and they do it. You see how they like kind of twist their foot a little bit and all that shit, man. Shit's fucking out of control, dude.
Well, and there's some folks now that are really into some pretty extreme kind of single kick stuff where it's basically like they're like dribbling a basketball.
Yeah.
Like the pedal just goes. And
Dude. Yeah, it's fucking crazy. Do you know Thomas Lang?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, dude, he's fucking, I mean, he's got like 6 pedals down there, but
at least
he's
6.
doing all kinds of that shit like on different pedals, like moving from one to the other, heel toe shit and stuff, man. That dude's a monster.
He is a monster.
Holy shit.
And he's got that really crispy, like it's all heel down. Just
yeah. He's something else, dude. I've like never seen it. I don't know. He's top tier.
Do you know where he got his like claim to fame?
I don't really know that much about him. I discovered him when he tried out for Dream Theater back in the day. That's the first time I heard.
So he's an Austrian fellow.
Yeah.
He plays drums on Rock Me Amadeus.
Oh, really?
He was in Falco's band when he was like a teenager, fresh out of like Vienna Conservatory or whatever.
Shit, man.
Yeah, like that's like the beginning of his professional
I probably
career.
just fucking retired after that.
Right.
That's a mic drop moment for sure.
Yeah. I just thought that was funny. I didn't know that for a long time either. You see all the solos and all the like clinic stuff, and you're like, okay, Europop. Got it.
Damn.
Nice, dude.
Who's some of your favorite drummers?
Oh man, it's all over the board. These days, I mentioned Nate Smith. That's in Fearless Flyers and a bunch of other stuff. I like Adam Deitch in Lettuce a lot.
All right.
You know, like OG, John Bonham, Clyde Stubblefield. Not too many of the like classic rock folks do that much for me. Todd Zuckerman, that's in Styx, is awesome.
Yeah.
Styx rules in general.
Styx does rule.
Every time I've got a random Pandora station on and some song kicks ass,
Aren't they
I'm
riffing?
like, what is it?
Yeah.
It's fucking Styx. Inevitably, it's Styx. Dude.
Sure.
I like Vinny Colaiuta, of course.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I like to make the joke where like art's not a contest. There's no such thing as best. And there's one exception, and his name's Vinny Colaiuta.
Yeah.
Because he can just play anything.
That's what I say about Danny Carey. He's my favorite drummer.
Sure.
But he's a little more niche.
Yeah. And Danny is great, but Danny does Danny.
Yeah, exactly.
And like
he's one of a kind.
And Vinny's like, oh, today I recorded a Leanne Rimes album.
Yes.
Tomorrow it's Megadeth.
Exactly.
The next day it's like the highest level jazz fusion. And then I'm going on tour with Sting, and then I'm going on tour with Herbie Hancock.
Agreed.
Like,
There's something to be said about that.
Vinny's just a legend, man.
Yeah, dude, his fucking playing on that fucking is he just on that one Megadeth album?
Yeah, just the one.
That's my favorite Megadeth album.
He's wild, man.
Unbelievable.
He's wild.
I love that shit.
And all over the board, man. There's like even in kind of the modern like Instagram kind of era.
Yeah.
There's a guy named Justin Scott.
Okay.
It's one of those like it could be any instrument. It could really be any skill. Where you look at somebody and you go, oh, they got it figured out. We're just like every movement is perfectly fluid and looks totally effortless. You're like, oh, so just whatever it is you want to do, you got the skills for it. Okay.
Dude, there's like kids now that are like 5 that are just like insane. And that to me, that's like the power of the internet. It used to be like there would be very occasionally some kind of savant like that, and it was like a huge deal. And now it's like, holy shit, there's like kids out there that are just like absolutely insanely
For real.
good, dude.
Even just getting like the visual aspect
That's
of
the thing.
seeing
Yeah,
somebody
dude.
do it, is such a big thing. And just like, and when you're that young
Yeah,
too,
you
everything's
just-
sinking in like a fucking sponge.
Well, and you think about even say for us, we could get like access to CDs and tapes and shit when we were 10, 12 years old.
Yeah.
Was still a wild improvement from like say our parents' generation, or
Right.
like if you're a
Yeah.
young drummer in the 70s,
Yeah.
you can like hear what's on the radio, or you can buy one record and listen to it every day.
right.
And those bands are never going to be on TV or anything like that. And now, like, yeah, you could be a 5-year-old with a Drumeo subscription and V drums that you can play all night long.
It's unlimited.
And access every song ever recorded,
After it, dude.
There's unlimited lessons. You know, like
Exactly.
you can just watch YouTube. You can never run out of learning material.
Exactly.
You know, so you got killer guys not only showing you what to do, close up, foot cam, and then they also talk about it and break it down and shit for you. Like, we didn't have that, dude. I was going down to the fucking Birds Music on fucking Henry, dude,
trying to buy books and
half
stuff.
hour a week, going down and seeing the dude, like
Could you study with at Birds?
I didn't do drums there. I did guitar lessons there, and it was a dude named Stuart. And I don't even know his last name, but he was quite the cat. He was
Cool.
a crazy jazz dude, and he used to put like kerosene in his hair or something.
What the fuck?
And like
don't let him match.
Man, I fucking wish I could like look this motherfucker up. Such a weird dude, but
What's
like
the thought process behind kerosene?
and the reason I
that
know
greasy
this,
look.
yeah, it must be. The reason I know this is because back in the day, I used to have hair back in the day. I would go get my haircut, and my haircut person did his hair, and so she like told me like, oh yeah, that guy, he comes in here and he puts like. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. It was a long time
By
ago.
the
I
way,
was
should
pretty
she
young.
be spilling the tricks of the trade like that?
Right.
Some kind of.
Yeah.
Are you familiar at all with a drummer named Benny Greb?
No.
That's another favorite of mine. He's a
Nice.
German fella. That's
Okay.
just top tier.
Fucking Germans, man, coming with the goddamn drumming.
Yep.
Do you know Thomas Pridgen?
Oh, of course.
Man.
Yep.
He's one of my all-time favorites for those 2 Mars Volta records,
Yep.
basically. Oh, my God. That motherfucker's just unbelievable.
Yeah, Pridgen is great. And that kind of whole like lineage, a lot of it
It's coming out of church.
Well, right. It's church. A lot of it starts with Dennis Chambers,
Ah, okay.
but then kind of trickles out into folks like Gerald Hayward and Teddy Campbell.
Nice. Okay.
And then some of Thomas's contemporaries like Aaron Spears and Eric Moore and all of these just like super shreddy dudes.
Yep. Yeah. I love with drumming. I do like some of the like proggy, shreddy, over the top, you know.
I do too.
With songs, I'm definitely more like, I love a great song, but like there's just something about watching a drummer just fucking go off, you know, like it's so good.
And man, I refuse to kind of hang my hat on either. Right?
Yeah.
Like it's rad.
You don't have to, yeah.
It's like rad to see Thomas Pridgeon rip. It's also rad to hear like a James Taylor record and Jim Keltner playing like brushes and a shaker.
Super tasty.
And you're like, oh, that sounds so good.
There's something about just having that right groove, like almost regardless of instrument. You know, it's cool to be a chop monster and all that shit, but sometimes it's like the right thing at the right time. And
the groove's really the most important at the end of the day.
Well, and there's something to be said too about like, it's like choices. Like this is part of what makes Vinny like one of the best ever, is because we all know that Vinny can play the most complicated shit, right?
Yeah.
If you can be in Zappa and Herbie, and then to go do a pop country record, and have the confidence and the foresight to like not play a fill and not hit a crash cymbal and do it just right. And then there's the one sneaky cool hi-hat open in just the right spot. You go,
sometimes
good job, Vinny.
it's the notes that don't get played that are the most badass.
Right. Or if you can play everything, then it's about what you choose to play.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. No, you're right. That's 100% true, man. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there is that's like experience, I guess, too, with a guy like that. You know, it's like if you're young or something and you're good or coming up, you're probably trying to overplay to like prove that you can do it.
There's some Benny Greb drum festival like clinic-y thing where he's talking about people asking about playing drum solos and how young people have a wheelbarrow full of my shit, and you walk into the middle of the stage and dump over the wheelbarrow. Look at my shit, you know, and try to play every lick you've ever learned and everything, you know. And
watch this and watch this,
this. But that really the ones that are super impactful or might like be like a couple of ideas, you know, or it's really much more constrained.
Yeah, I think probably my second favorite drummer, I'd have to say, is the guy from Porcupine Tree and shit, Gavin Harrison.
Gavin Harrison he's in King Crimson these days too.
Yeah. Not anymore. They called it.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, King Crimson called it a day. Like last year, they played their last show.
That's acceptable. Fripp's got to be like 80.
Yeah.
Those guys have been around for like what, 30 years?
Oh, more.
69 is when Court of the Crimson King came out.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And again, man, Crimson is prog school.
Yeah.
Like the first King Crimson record, the singer is Greg Lake from Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
Okay.
And the second Crimson record, the singer is John Wetton from Asia. And like Bill Bruford left Yes to be in Crimson.
Yep.
And Adrian Ballou that was in Talking Heads and Tom Tom Club was in Crimson.
Damn, I didn't know all
Tony
those
Levin.
guys.
Tony Levin, from like Peter Gabriel and all that kind of stuff.
That I don't love early King Crimson, to be honest.
The 80s stuff, dude.
Yeah, the 80s stuff when it's fucking, Tony Levin and fucking, I saw, God damn it, you just said his name.
Adrian
Ballou. I saw him play solo with his band here at the fucking intersection at the Stash. Like,
oh, wow.
Like 2-3 years ago. It was like a weeknight. It's at the Stash, the front room, you know?
Yeah.
And so there's like maybe 40 people.
You're right.
And we're just like, I mean, it's like right in front of him. And it's just like, damn, this is wild. And he had that fucking girl bassist, Tall Wilkinson or something. Do you know her?
Oh, yeah.
Wilkenfeld.
Like,
she's like really big right now.
Yeah.
What she was playing with him then.
Man.
Yeah.
How did I miss that show?
And so they did like, you know, of course they did a bunch of fucking King Crimson shit from his era.
Yeah.
Some, you know, all that shit. So
we got to see what they call Crimson Project was Adrian, Tony Levin, Pat Mastoletto, another bass player and another drummer open for Dream Theater like 8 years ago at Royal Oak.
Damn.
And honestly, like Dream Theater was cool, but I enjoyed that Crimson show more.
I've seen Dream Theater a lot of times.
Hey, have you?
I'm a big fan in a way. I mean, like a couple of those records from back in the day were like super influential. I mean, at that time, I'd never heard anything like
Same.
it, you know, and like, but you know, there's some of these more later records here, you know, but it's still, you know, it's still fun to like see those guys. I would say honestly, as far as like I was talking earlier about up down shit, I mean, like Mike Portnoy is like probably arguably one of the biggest influences on my actual drumming.
Sure.
And you know, yeah, he's a bit of a D-bag and everything, but like,
a great player.
Great player.
More than
And
a bit of a D-bag.
I saw him, part of that is I saw him do a clinic. It was at Studio 28 here in Grand Rapids.
Wow.
This is a long time ago now too. And I took a lot of that and I really learned a lot of that shit there. And I mean, it was the same thing of him breaking down, like, this is how I'm actually doing all this shit. Cause at the time I was 14, 15, you know, like you're listening to shit. You can't even comprehend what some of these guys are doing. You know, so it was like, oh, that's how he's doing it and breaking that down. And I still use that shit to this day.
Was it the Dream Theater? Was it Dream Theater in Queensryche at Pine Knob possibly when they were doing the dual kit together?
Yeah.
Okay.
He had for a while, it was probably that same era. Portnoy had like a double kit with like two thrones.
I know what you're talking about, yeah.
And so it was, and Queensryche played, and I was a big Queensryche fan. And dude, Scott Rockenfield or Fold or whatever, Scott Rockenfield from Queensryche came out and sat on the other throne.
Right.
And they did like a whole, like, they were all out there, you know, they did like some Pink Floyd tunes and some Maiden tunes and, you know, just did like the end of the show extravaganza kind of thing.
That sounds great.
Yeah, it was cool.
Favorite concert you've ever seen is
Ooh.
Bonnaroo 2007, The Roots.
Oh, that's a bold call.
They played for like 2.5 hours. They did everything.
That'd be fucking killer, man.
Like, not only did they play a bunch of their tunes, there was a whole section where Questlove wasn't on the center riser, it was on a little tiny kit, and it was just him in the horn section, and they did a wild James Brown medley.
Oh, that's badass.
Then it was just Quest, the tuba player, and the guitar player, Kirk Douglas.
That dude's a badass.
And they did a giant guitar feature that was the Bob Dylan song Masters of War and the Jimi Hendrix song Machine Gun.
Okay.
And it was like they and Black Thought rapped and sang, and it was like, and the whole thing was seamlessly put together. You didn't even notice when people left the stage or came back. Every last person in the band had like a little feature section. It was just
headlining
that's
that
badass,
festival then.
the Police were the headliner.
All right.
I also saw Tool at that Bonnaroo.
That was 2008.
7.
No,
I promise.
2008. I promise. I was there.
Jamie,
it's 2008.
Jamie, take a peek.
Guaranteed.
I went to Bonnaroo in 2007, Rothbury in 08, Rothbury in
All right,
09, and Summer Camp Sense.
maybe I'm wrong.
That sounds like a pretty definitive take.
That's also the year I graduated from college, and my ticket
Well-
was a gift from my friends.
I got the
Oh, it's a
fucking
huge
little
gift.
booklet
Yeah.
here
Friends.
somewhere. I'm gonna find it. Prove your ass wrong, dude. It was 2008, but I was there. The point is,
We'll fight about it.
I was there. I was there because I was gonna say I saw the Roots do Bonnaroo in 2008.
Oh, okay.
and it was right before Tool.
Okay,
You
sure.
know? And yeah, so I was there for the Roots, and I was by myself at this point. I'm working my way up. I end up hanging out with these dudes like you do, you know,
Yep.
and we're all smoking and everything. Catch the Roots. Bunch of people leave, which was my goal. I'm trying to get closer for Tool.
Right.
And I love the Roots too. So, you know, it's like I'm doing that, you know, so I'm trying to work my way up for the fucking Tool show. But yeah, and then the Police was the next night, and fucking, was it Flaming Lips?
I think
Right
so,
after
yeah.
that, and they handed out, if you remember, they handed out like 1 million laser pointers. Were you there for that?
I didn't go see Flaming Lips.
Yeah, it was like after because there's like the headliner, and then there's usually one after that,
Right.
And then it's like all the DJs and shit after that. But they handed out, like, people were walking through the crowd with boxes of laser pointers, and everybody was like,
That seems like
laser pointers.
courting disaster, bro. You're up on stage like 1 million fucking
Right.
assholes going
Yeah.
straight for the
right in
retinas,
your
dude.
eyeballs.
He said, I forget that guy's name from the Flaming Lips, but he was like, "Don't point the laser pointers at, you know, other people. You can point them all at me. It's fine, you know." Or whatever.
Right.
But, you know, everybody's on fucking acid and shit, you know.
Yeah, that was, and there's some others, but that, like, the first one that comes to mind is that.
That was a good show.
I was really
blown.
blown away by the sword at the stash.
Oh, okay.
incredible.
Wow.
Again, just like super tight.
Yeah.
Like they just played
Yeah.
totally top notch.
I've never seen them live, but
It was very good.
Yeah, they're badass.
That Crimson Project show is great. I saw Animals as Leaders last year.
Oh, I used to love.
Well, they're
those
opening
guys,
for
man.
fucking Dream Theater coming up here.
Who else is on that
Devin
tour?
Townsend.
Yeah.
I know.
That's a pretty huge.
I know.
thing.
I might have
That'd
to
be
go to
chill.
that.
They're playing
Catch.
Detroit, but it's like a weeknight, and our homie Nick Hagan is going. He's going to the show in Gary, which is on like Saturday. I know.
If you got the devotion to go to Gary, Indiana, for any reason,
he's like, it's at some casino in fucking Gary, and it's the Saturday show, so I'm gonna go to that one, which
That
makes
seems
sense,
sketchy.
you know. Like, I know. I'm like, well, if you don't lose all your money at the casino, you're definitely gonna get robbed when you leave. So-
Right.
home of Michael Jackson, right? Gary, Indiana.
Yeah,
I wanna
yeah,
say.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I kind of want to see that though, because that's a crushing lineup. Not gonna lie.
The other one I'll mention, and I don't even know if this is anything y'all have ever heard of, but it's my all-time favorite rapper, all-time favorite writer, actually. A guy named Aesop Rock.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Got the tattoo and everything.
Oh shit,
Nice,
man.
dude.
Played, I think it was the tour for Bestiary. So him and this other MC named Rob Sonic, when Ace tours by himself, Rob's his hype man, but they also have a group called Hail Mary Malin.
Okay.
And I think their second album tour at Pyramid Scheme.
Ooh,
And it was sold out.
gotta love those shows.
And it was like, and it was just one of those, like, the performances were really good, but it was the vibe.
Yeah.
Like, and a bunch of people in the crowd knew
Yeah.
the music and were
Yeah.
stoked on the show.
yeah, it's a
And just the
small
whole,
room.
and the whole
right
thing was just
there.
electric,
There's
like
no
start
bad
to
seat in
finish.
the house.
Right.
You're so close.
Aesop
you know?
Rock's badass too, though, man.
My all-time favorite, man.
Pyramid Scheme's a great venue to
Yeah,
catch a show.
some good shows there
Just
for
scored
sure.
some Volta tickets for. Or no, it's 20
That's at 20 Monroe, yeah.
Ooh, I was thinking
Yeah, the
Pyramid
Volta's
Scheme for
playing
some
20
reason.
Monroe.
Really?
With the new lineup, you know, it's,
Who's playing drums for them now?
I don't know, some guy who's not their original drummers. I've watched a bunch of the videos and shit, and like, I'm such a drummer guy that like, you know, like,
Yeah.
it turns out like, it's like, I didn't love Porcupine Tree that much as I loved Gavin Harrison. 'cause
Right.
I don't love Steven Wilson's solo shit near as much, and it's kind of that way with the Volta too, and it's like, I'm like, honestly, I think I could probably play better than this guy they got. For the Volta right now.
All my favorite Volta drumming is John Theodore.
Oh, he's the man.
Yeah.
Dude.
You know.
I mean, those original shit,
Yeah,
dude.
the first
Yeah.
two or whatever.
Yeah. Fuck yeah, man.
And
first three.
He's great he's in Queens of the Stone Age
Yeah.
too.
No,
and-
yeah. He's done a bunch of
Oh,
shit.
no shit.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Okay.
He played on some of the Pussifer records, Maynard
Yeah.
stuff. He's done a lot of other stuff, but I was really, really hoping, and I know the singer guy from Volta was pushing to get him back in the fold for this new stuff, but he's got that pretty sweet gig with Queens, and he's
Right.
pretty settled in with that. So.
In retrospect, I'm pushing for him to get them back too before they did the last new album. I don't like that.
Yeah,
one
indeed.
bit. I've been hating
I'm-
on that thing since day one.
I don't think he
sorry.
ever made records with them, but David Ulich toured with them for a while too.
Yes,
he's also
he's been
great.
on and off with those guys when they've been between drummers several
Yep.
times. Yeah, he's on. He is on some of their like.
Oh, like the live cuts.
He's on that, and there was like some like other like B-side kind of shit that he recorded stuff on, and I think he did a bunch of work with Omar and like his solo stuff and whatever too.
They
It's
had
like-
that very short-lived kind of super group too called Anti-Mask
Oh,
Yes.
that I think Cedric was in.
Yeah, that was Chad Smith, I thought it's Flea. It's Flea on bass.
Are you sure?
Yeah,
Flea's on the first Volta record.
I know. And John Frusciante's on a
Yep.
bunch of that shit too.
Yep.
Yeah, Antimask though is the two guys from Volta and Flea, and is it Dave Elich on drums? Or for some reason I was thinking it was Chad Smith on drums.
We might be
too,
talking
but-
about two different things.
No, it's that one. It's got to be it. They just did that one record.
Sure.
Yeah, and it was
Sure.
like after Volta had broken up, and so it was like really weird.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm thinking of the other Elich project that's Killer Be Killed.
Oh,
That I think
is he
has-
the drummer in there?
Yeah, it's one of the Cavaleras,
Dude,
isn't
I
it?
love those guys,
The
dude.
Sepultura Cavalier?
Yeah.
Oh my.
And-
Okay,
and-
so
and
hold
it's
on.
the guy from Mastodon, and
Straight up, hold the phone. Do y'all know about the dude that plays in Sepultura now?
no,
The drummer.
no.
Holy shit. His name's Eloy Casagrande.
Okay.
And it will knock your socks off.
Big House.
That's a huge name.
He is.
That's epic.
He's frighteningly good.
Damn.
And I don't even mean frighteningly good like as a metal drummer. Like he does hit really hard. He's got fast feet, etc.
Yeah.
But I just top of the mountain.
Damn.
Like
I'll have to check that
Gotta
out.
throw
too.
it down and get back into some Sepultura.
I know, I'm not
kinda
up on
tapped out after the
Sepultura.
Bloody Roots days.
I love Sepultura, man.
Yeah.
What was Soulfly the other band?
Yeah,
Sepultura
yeah. When
back
Max
in the day?
left,
Okay.
when Max left, made Soulfly.
Yeah. All right.
I get problems with when bands break up really like publicly, and like I saw like that happened to me. I didn't listen to Mars Volta's probably like my second favorite band ever or whatever, and I like didn't listen to them for years after they broke up because I don't know. I got a problem with like shitty breakups with bands. I'm
Right.
just like,
Too much drama.
seriously.
Are you? Do you dig At the Drive-In?
Yeah.
I did too.
for sure. Yeah, that fucking one big record there they had, dude. I fucking loved that record.
Yeah.
They had two pretty kick-ass albums, though, didn't they?
Yeah,
got a
they
bunch.
Second
had a
one
bunch
was
of records.
They've got
more
4 or
than
5
two. They had,
records.
like two that
Yeah.
were super solid. But yeah, the one arm scissor and all that shit.
Yeah, that was the big one there.
Relationship of Command.
Yeah,
is
yeah.
the name of that record.
That's it.
That tune that starts out with like that weird. It's like a kidnapping
congas
theme
and everything
shit,
on
dude.
it.
No, not
that
one,
song.
No, that's it. I know what you're talking about.
10,000 colonists.
Yeah.
Behind
Behind the box. I'll
You'll
be the
see.
hyena.
Yeah, you'll see.
That might be the jam on that
That's
whole album.
it
of
really is a
One Arm
fucking good
Scissor.
song.
It's
I'm-
huge.
I'm pretty sure that voice is Iggy Pop.
Oh, that would make
no
sense.
shit.
I think
Yeah.
that voiceover is Iggy Pop.
Speaking of, to close the loop on this real
All
quick, it is indeed Flea on bass and Dave Elich on drums.
Oh,
Anti- and
all right,
Anti-Mask?
we were both right.
Sorry.
Yeah. That's a good record. I never really got into it when it came out, but
You were just saying the other day you were bumping that
I
shit
finally
a
was
little
like, all right, because I got back into Volta because, like I was saying, I had to like put a freeze on them because they broke up. I'm like,
bit. You should have
Broke
seen him
my
after
heart.
the J-Lo
Seriously,
Bennerford
dude.
breakup
Yeah,
the first
dude.
time around. This guy was distraught. He does not handle the
I don't know
breakup
what it
well.
is. I'm just like, dude, break up. I don't care, but like, keep it fucking. You guys are ruining your fucking whole.
I was all over that shit because I needed my Volta fix, man. Volta and Tool are kind of my two favorites.
Sure.
I had a nice period there where I was putting tentatively Volta above Tool, and then when those guys broke up, I was just like, God damn,
Like,
I
you
gotta
lost it.
You my Omar fix here, one way or another.
Same thing with Queensryche. I was a huge Queensryche fan. My band opened for Queensryche at the Orbit Room, and like their fucking breakup was about the messiest thing of all time. just Jesus Christ, guys, come on,
Yeah.
I don't imagine Tate's a very good loser,
No, yeah, it's a real shit show
real
there.
sour puss after
It's
that.
just always kind of ugly when like that stuff doesn't need to be public.
Yeah.
It really doesn't.
Family matter. Keep it behind
Yeah, you
closed
can just, I mean,
doors,
you can tell people like, yeah, we split up, we're not playing anymore,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
you don't need to be like, meh, 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 meh,
25
talking
years
shit about
killer
each other on
shades
TV
everybody,
or whatever.
Yeah. Going to court and like, just like throwing each other under the bus in the news. And I mean,
Right, like, let me put out this press release about how
Yeah.
much of an asshole my guitar player is
Jesus
or whatever.
Christ, come on, guys. Like, just let it go. Let the records speak for themselves.
Yeah.
Like, you guys killed it for years. You got a legacy. Let it live.
Yeah.
Fucking Queensryche, man. Those guys ruled so hard.
I know.
I never
They
got
caught
terribly
those guys
into it.
Now
I don't
they're
know
just
much about it.
a parody of themselves in the worst possible way. I mean, it's only like one guy from the original band. It's just bad. It's like, ugh.
that's a whole other, like, that's such a weird thing to me in like classic rock kind of bands.
Yeah, that hire a bunch of kids, basically.
Yeah, or like, I mean, I get it if
Yeah.
it's like,
If it's a couple of the main dudes, I've always
yeah,
felt like,
or like if you gotta hire a bass player,
yeah.
like, okay,
Yeah.
hire a drummer,
Yeah, yeah.
okay. But like, is that, maybe I could be wrong, but I want to say like one of those bands like Fog Hat or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
It's like at this point, it's like the bass player is the original member, doesn't sing, isn't in the front, and the whole
I
rest
know,
of it's like hired gun 25-year-olds or whatever.
was playing like Rib Fest in
yeah,
Kalamazoo,
they're
like
like-
maybe
it's
time
like-
to give up the ghost here, boys. At this
They're
point.
basically a Fog Hat tribute band
Yes,
at this
that's
point.
what I'm saying. Yeah, we saw fucking Lou Gramm, singer of
Foreigner, right?
Foreigner,
Yeah.
and he's like 400 pounds. It's literally at Rib Fest. So it's there's so many layers of comedy going on here. We're laughing
Yeah.
our asses off.
He was
He's
clearly
terrible.
paid in baby backs for the entire weekend, bro.
It's just him and like a bunch of fucking schmucks. We also saw Blue Oyster Cult.
At Ribfest, that sounds about right. BOC throwing it down. Yeah.
Don't Fear the Reaper, right? And all that.
Don't forget about Godzilla.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man.
Same
That's
deal,
the jam.
They got
the
like
Blue Oyster Cult jam.
couple of the main guys, and then it's just like a
dude.
bunch of fucking. I saw a fucking Warrant, same deal. It was fucking Jamie Lane or Janie Lane or whatever his name is, and like a bunch of fucking 20-year-olds.
And like, I mean, on one hand, like I get it, man.
Yeah.
It's a business.
Yep.
And honestly, by the time you're Warrant 35 years in, it's not the 5 dudes in the band anymore. It's a 80-person operation, right?
Yeah.
It's
So like I get it, you keep the business afloat and keep doing the thing, but
it's a business too, but there's got to be an aspect of just like wanting to keep doing the
Exactly.
thing.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
Not that it's not disappointing when you're losing guys and it's some half-ass shell of its former
It's all
self.
you've ever
but
done.
Still, yeah.
Well, and I
You put
think
your whole life into it.
and I think too, and again, I can at least sort of relate to this.
Yep.
Where like, okay, you are Warrant or Foghat or whatever, and you get your kind of rise to power.
Yeah.
And that means you're commanding kind of X amount per ticket, or you're playing this kind of venue, and everybody in your band but you leaves. Well, like, what are you going to start a new band and go back to the bars and start the journey all over? I mean, that's what I would do.
You got to ride those Warrant coattails.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like, you want to be like, we got this name.
Exactly. Come on.
You got the brand. It's like, I'm 45. I got 3 kids and a mortgage,
Right.
dude. Like, you know, like
Can't go back to the club circuit.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, for
it's like
sure.
I guess I understand, but from a listener perspective or a fan perspective, it's just like, let it go, man.
I know.
Indeed.
Let it go.
We saw
or start a new band.
Right.
Yeah, but that's the thing, that then it doesn't have that name behind it, so like nobody's showing up, you know, like. But Warrant was at the fucking Blue Note in Muskegon, dude. That's where I saw that. And my infamous story was, do you remember this?
Yes.
He comes down into the fucking crowd and he's all like super fat and the fucking I poked him in his ribs, and that's my fucking story. It was like I was just like, ugh.
It's got to be done, dude.
I don't think I could even drink or anything at that show at that time.
That was back. That was like 19, 20 years old.
That's the first round Blue Note.
Yeah.
Or not Blue Note 2.0.
Yes, it was like I don't think even like the club was attached to it at that point. It was they were having like, it was like they had like real bands coming in there like that. Fuck else, there's something else I was gonna. Oh, and then like a year later he was dead. You know?
Of course.
Yeah, you know,
Of course.
Like, he died fucking at a fucking Comfort Inn or something. You know?
That's, I mean, dude, that's what I admire. I really like about the world of like jazz and fusion and all that, is because all those folks, like, they have bands, but the bands come and go like the wind.
Right.
And it's kind of about your whatever, you're Wayne Shorter, you play saxophone.
Right.
And for these months, you're with that piano player, and then you make a record with that person, you make a record with, and everyone just kind of moves and shakes around and has their own thing. And then you don't deal with this like, well, 2 of the people died and 1 of them quit, but they're still calling it weather report or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or it doesn't matter when the members change.
Yeah.
Like as long as you kind of have the founder that's still there.
Yeah. It's still playing most of the songs or whatever.
It's so band dependent, though. You know, like some bands can lose a guy and it's like, who cares? Yep. Sometimes you lose that one crucial guy, even if it's not the fucking face of the band, and it's just like a whole different vibe.
It'll never be the same.
Right. Well, that's kind of one of my favorite things about bands. Yeah. It's like there are certain bands that there's like, I mean, Tool's a prime example of this, that like there's no other possible way to get that sound.
No, it has to be
those people.
Those 4 people.
I mean, like you could even say like,
I'm reasonably certain I can do a good facsimile of Maynard if it came down to it.
There's a lot of bands like that though, where it's like, you know, like it's just never gonna be that sound ever again, you know.
Dude, that's the driving force behind my multi-band.
Yeah.
Like, and why I like jams and why I like sitting in with bands and all that, because it's the sum of its parts, right? And it's not even about how good somebody is at their instrument. It's like everybody's got a voice, right?
Yeah.
So
doesn't mesh and doesn't fit the bill at the end.
Like, so whatever the ingredients are, that's what the music's going to sound like.
Right.
And change out an ingredient.
that portfolio a little bit, baby,
or just that it's interesting that I'm still the same player. But if I play with these 3 people, it's different than when I play with those 3 people.
Yeah.
You know,
sure. Makes you a way better
colored
musician.
by everybody else.
Yeah, bring different stuff out of you. Their feels a little bit different. You can play the same song with 2 different groups and it'll be different. You know?
Yeah, for sure.
I love that shit.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, and what I was going to say is that it also makes you a way better musician the more people you jam with.
Totally.
That's one thing I wish I'd have done more of, especially the last like 10 years, is like just still getting out there, like playing and like, you know, whatever. You know, I did the opposite where I'm like holding it up in my studio, like figuring out, you know, more being like a record producer kind of thing. But I wish I'd have got out and actually like jammed with people, and the social element of it too, man. Just like seeing people, you know, and having fun, having a few beers.
You're just hunkered down here like Howard Hughes, mad scientist in the studio doing work.
Well, that's been a whole part of my world in the last couple of years. I mean, obviously like pandemic shit, but when I stopped having shows and band practices, I've gotten really into like sequencers and synthesizers and samplers and trying to make music on my own too, you know?
Right. Yep. I've always been obsessed with recording, you know, since I was like 17 or something.
And now, that's actually the mountain I'm arriving to, where I've obviously still have a ton to learn too about these devices, the bleep bloop machines, as I like to call them.
Yeah.
But now I'm also getting to the point where I'm dissatisfied with my super ramshackle like video making recording setup.
Right.
I'm like, oh fuck, now I gotta like get an interface and like learn about microphones and learn about mixing and like, no.
Oh yeah.
There's something to be said about the mastery of the soundboard, you know. It's just really an art form when you get right down to it. That was extraordinarily loud, by the way.
So not quite mastered just yet.
Yeah, man. Fucking recording is definitely its own thing, and I went real hard. I mean, obviously, I'm showing you that's kind of my main passion in some ways now. But it's like what's your main instrument? Well, it's actually kind of the computer. You know, like I can play about everything. Yeah. But like what I really do is put it all together in a box and make a song.
Right.
You know, so like. That's and it's a whole other thing, and it's another rabbit hole. It's endless. I mean, like, I fucking got obsessed with microphones. I'm obsessed with guitar amps. I'm obsessed with fucking all of it, you know.
And plugins and outboard shit.
I got all that too, believe me. But I try to stick to, I very much like analog shit where like, I don't want a plug-in that tries to sound like the real amp. I just want the real fucking amp.
Right.
There's something fun to me. I want that tactileness. And like the problem, of course, is you need space. It's loud. It's heavy. It's expensive. All of that's the problem with it. But I've always been like, why try to have a thing that's trying to mimic a thing if you can just have, if you're lucky enough, privileged enough or whatever to have the real thing, get the real thing. You know, like, so
I don't know. Dildo when you can just fuck at the end of the day.
Because the dildo stays hard.
Fair.
I was going for the rib shot.
That one works too, though.
It really does, yeah.
No, I find some of the same even with, I'm much more interested in having a synthesizer.
Yeah.
And turning knobs than I am some software and a MIDI controller.
Hardware synthesizers are way funner.
Yeah. And even same with like I've got a SP404.
Nice.
And it does a bunch of interesting stuff. A bunch of those things you can do in a DAW.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Yeah.
But it's not buttons and knobs. Like you don't actually
it's so much funner to have the real
you gotta operate the machine. Like I don't do that type of stuff, but even like I would kill for a fucking stick shift like fuck around car that I could have, dude. I used to ride motorcycles back in the day, and my buddy was talking about getting one. He's like, oh, they got this automatic that I was looking at, which I didn't even know they made automatic motorcycles.
Like, absolutely not.
Do you want that? Like you gotta have the clutch, you gotta manipulate the gear. That's half the fun.
It's the tactile thing.
It really is. Yeah, my dude, Mike Nolan, who I do this long after midnight thing, industrial thing with, he's like the synth guy, man. But he likes hip hop and shit too, but he's really into like industrial and shit, right? But he's super deep now into the fucking modular synth shit, dude. And his fucking spaceship of a fucking room of fucking shit now. And that's another endless rabbit hole of monies. Money
all are,
dude.
man.
Just, he's always like, yeah, there's some new modular thing out of fucking Austria or whatever. Right. I gotta have it,
You're like, so you bought a $600 3x3 box?
It's like, what's it do? I don't know.
Right.
Bleeps and bloops.
Yeah, plug it into the rest of it and see what happens.
Yep.
I've been having a lot of fun doing some of that kind of experimenting too. Like, not only learning how the individual machines work, but I'm starting to get into like running them into one another, or using the sequencer on a drum machine to trigger the sequencer on a synthesizer.
Right. Yep.
And whatever MIDI sync the sampler with the other thing.
Time clock sync and all that stuff.
And then play drums along with it.
Yeah. That's awesome too. Yeah. All right, listen, I got to get into the drink. Let's take a break.
Hells.
We were just talking about fucking hairs in the microphone.
Little hair on the mic.
I was doing you were at that gig. We just did that gig, and when we were rehearsing for it, the fucking one of my mustache hairs got caught in the microphone.
Oh no!
And it like ripped out. It might have been a couple hairs because it like pulled up, and I was like, oh! And so I had to like trim my shit all up.
Dude, I would rather lose a finger than have a mustache hair. Dude. I got one caught in the hoodie the other day. Like the snaps on there. It was like, I brought a tear to the eye.
Seriously, because that microphone, it's got that grill on it.
Oh, right.
And it's got like caught in there.
Oh, dude.
Teach you to keep your distance.
Unexpected.
One single mustache hair getting ripped out is a fate I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. So
no, it's not pleasant. It's when you like take a bite of a sandwich and eat your mustache. That's when you know it's time. You're like, oh, okay, it's trim time.
I literally had to trim up the other day. The yogurt's the bad one. I'm just sitting there.
Yours is long right now, dude.
Yeah, I left most of the stash leg there for the inappropriate factor. And I'm always at like dinner with people and stuff, and like I'll drink it, stuff get caught on the stash, then I'm just
the old soup
spitting out there.
Oh yeah,
just coming out the stash.
Oh
just spraying that vid everywhere, baby. It's coronavirus as far as the eye.
Jeez.
All right, listen up. It's been a long week. A lot of stuff has happened this week, and I'm really out of the loop on what's going on in the world.
Let's do a little something to get the people
right,
caught up to speed.
What do we got?
All
right.
The Dangerville Podcast presents News of the World.
Dun, 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 dun.
Of the world.
That's a much more tolerable level, by the way. All right. We've got some terrible, terrible news bits this week. I'm going to call that one out in advance. But first up on the docket, we've got a German court set on Wednesday that a landlord sunbathing naked in the courtyard of his building was not a reason for his tenants to reduce their rental payments. All right.
Okay.
So the case involved a building in an upscale residential district of Frankfurt with a floor that was being rented out by a human resources company that withheld rent because they objected to the landlord's naked sunbathing in the courtyard.
Okay.
No, I'm not necessarily pro landlord, but it's his building.
Yeah, right? Let your freak flag fly.
Yeah, it's like, it's
man.
my house. I'll be naked if I want to.
And plus, in Germany, they just passed a law where you can, like, I think, sunbathe naked, topless on any beach.
Swimming naked or something.
Yeah.
Which, God bless the fucking Germans. That's one of the better calls they made in a long time. Making up for some other questionable decisions throughout history. But anyway, the German court dismissed the case and noted that the better argument, based on the naked pictures of the landlord, would have been that the courtyard pool's water is clearly freezing cold. It's a shrinkage joke. It's a terrible, terrible shrinkage joke.
I'm so fucking weak.
It is indeed.
Wow.
Moving right along. And it doesn't get any better than that, unfortunately, this week, gentlemen. Short week. All right. So, Uber Eats driver slain and dismembered after making delivery. See this one?
No.
We might have to Google the picture of this guy. It's
go ahead. I'll pull it up.
fucking out of control, dude. So a Florida man is charged with murder and other offenses in the slaying and dismemberment of an Uber Eats driver who brought food to the assailant's house, authorities said on Tuesday. The judge presiding over the case let his disgust be known I'm sickened and appalled by the events surrounding this tragic delivery. A 60-minute wait for McNuggets is simply unforgivable.
Worst episode ever.
Oof.
Is that the guy
That's
with
the guy.
tats?
Soak him in a little bit. Blow that up.
Oh,
He was
Blow
the
that
Uber
picture.
driver?
No, he was the... No, clearly he was not the Uber driver. He was obviously the murderer. Is there any more murderous figure you've ever seen?
Wow.
Yeah, he
Florida
looks
man.
pretty murdery.
Holy
Drink him in a little
shit.
bit, dude.
Yeah.
You imagine ringing the doorbell at that dude's crib. Just, oh,
He's like, God
sir,
damn
I've got
it."
your Chick-fil-A here.
Yeah.
This is not going to go
Run
well.
away.
I'm definitely getting eaten. Fuck.
Out of control.
All right.
All right.
Damn.
So Arnold Schwarzenegger fills pothole. Did you hear about this?
I did hear about
Yeah.
this.
I
yeah.
did see that one too.
So the governor recently posted a video of himself filling a pothole, which has since gone viral, saying, "Today, after the whole neighborhood has been upset about this giant pothole that's been screwing up cars and bicycles for weeks, I went out with my team and filled it." Yeah. As several husbands in the neighborhood have also been complaining about their wives for weeks, Arnold has generously offered to take it upon himself to go ahead and fill all their holes too. Yeah. I know I wanted to try and break out the governor voice. There's one thing I learned in this podcast is that impressions are not my friend, so I'm going to go ahead and steer clear of
We
those.
need to get a Schwarzenegger thing, dude. We need to add that to the
Yes.
list.
Yeah.
Dude. I need to redo the board with a bunch
We
of
need
shit, dude.
a Schwarzenegger soundbite of Robert Smigel doing
Yeah,
Schwarzenegger
right,
on. Do you remember the old school?
I do,
Conan?
yeah, I do.
Oh
Yeah,
god,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
some of the funniest shit. One of many great skits that went by the wayside after fucking NBC got the rights to all that shit back in the day. All right, we got one more here. Short news week, thankfully and mercifully. And a bit of sad news here. Jerry Springer has passed away at the age of 79.
Yep.
Yeah. Legendary talk show host and former mayor of Cincinnati, Jerry Springer, died yesterday of pancreatic cancer. An audience of fans gathered to greet Jerry just inside the pearly gates, but quickly became raucous and were promptly thrown out of heaven by bouncer Steve Wilkins. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is your...
The Dangerville Podcast presents News of the World.
When I sent you that thing when I heard Springer died, you know, I sent you a thing. I was like, well, Jerry, my joke about it was like, at the funeral, the funeral will close with the ceremonial throwing of the couch.
Yeah, better angle.
I just like couldn't quite come up with a joke, and then I didn't like actually write anything. But
Indeed. Yeah, I was furiously writing that piece of shit
Indeed.
about 10 minutes before I came here.
pouring one out for Jerry.
All right, so I got one other thing that I got to hit. Well, I got several things I got. I got material for days.
Yeah,
gentlemen.
it's clearly.
But, yeah. I've got goods coming out the ears. All right. Have you guys heard about these Ozempic celebrity dreams, which is now like apparently this big thing?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Ozempic, the medication? Or
Yes. Okay. So Ozempic is a diabetes medication, apparently.
Right.
It's one of the semi-glutides, which is like all the craze right now. It's for diabetes, but people are taking it for weight loss. Like Elon Musk is tweeting about this shit.
Okay.
Yep.
Kardashians, all that stuff. So people are having these really fucked up dreams, as you tend to have on medications. But everybody's getting like A-list celebrities in their dreams. It's this really fucking like weird phenomenon. Okay. So a few of these dreams, I got to run through these. So one lady had a dream that the Kardashians and Jenners were their family. Dinosaurs started invading, and then she saved everyone using essential oils. Okay. Somebody dreamt about the cast of the Golden Girls preparing to rob a museum with J-Lo and Ben Affleck
All right, I would pay to see that.
I'd watch that movie.
while she was carrying Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's baby.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
that's
which
an
that math
obvious
checks out there,
Freudian.
In theaters next summer.
Pretty sure I dreamt about carrying The Rock's baby at one point. But, being at a cattle auction with Matthew McConaughey while he rode a pet llama, which is pretty dope, dude. McConaughey getting after it. Jonah Hill waiting tables on a cruise and telling patrons that he planned to leave acting behind to start a career in the cabaret. It's pretty killer.
That's real.
Yeah, that one sounds about right. He's also going to change his name to Sundaze with D-A-Z-E.
Wow.
Pretty killer rapper name. All right, last couple we got here. Playing baseball in front of an unruly crowd, then being saved by Oprah Winfrey on a go-kart. Pretty dope, dude. What? Getting ready to give birth in a bar and requesting that Will Ferrell, who was also at the bar, deliver the baby.
Okay, that's fair.
And finally, being at Home Depot and ordering new cabinets from salesman Clint Eastwood.
Oh, man.
Some of the top prospects there. Dude.
Indeed.
That sounds like a terrible, terrible experience.
Do you want us to measure that room, or are you feeling lucky?
That's wild, though. That fucking Ozempic shit's like you see ads and shit all over and stuff. It's like, it's not a weight loss medication, but it could help you lose weight.
Well, apparently, like they were saying, up to like 20% or 30% or some shit of the weight loss comes because of like bone mass density and muscle shrinking.
No.
So, like, maybe just skip the fucking cheeseburger and mix in a salad now.
That's right. They were talking about that on Rogan, I think. Yeah. That's fucking crazy.
For a hot minute, I was taking a sleeping medication called Trazodone.
Ooh.
And I had this dream that there was a buffalo in my front yard that was so convincing, and I woke up so confused. I was gonna call my mom. It was like 3:30 or 4 in the morning. I'm all fucked up on this stuff. I was gonna call my mom because I was like trying to sort it out to see if the only thing that let me figure it out was like, oh, the yard was fenced in and my backyard's fenced in, not the front, but the buffalo was
Whoa.
so apparently
really
that was the thing. I was
missing
like,
detail, yeah.
Pretty fucked up, man.
Yeah, dude. That's good. My dreams are kind of like that fucking anyway, dude. My dreams are so fucking wild as it is, so I'm good.
Frog's lot. Can you put that frog's
No,
lot?
it's right there. Right there. It don't matter.
I almost never remember my dreams, and when I do, they're so strange that I can't even describe them to people.
Same, but I remember mine. Mine are like super crazy. Every night it's crazy, but I typically remember them like that day or at least, or I'll remember dreams from years ago and shit.
Right.
Dude. It's fucking weird.
I just started the last handful of months. I'm just starting to remember dreams a little bit, been dabbling with a little bit of less of that stuff. Which I think is helping, and it's fucking dope, dude. I look so forward to going to sleep. Some fucking
Dreams are fun.
dreams, dude.
You ever lucid dream? Like where you can like control?
Yes, dude.
I could do that pretty readily. Like, well, I'll like recognize that I'm dreaming and be like, oh, okay, well, I'm like in this dream. I could like try to do
Time
something.
to jump over a building.
I had a lucid dream one time where I was dining with Pamela Anderson in the restaurant booth. You can
Were you
imagine
taking
where
that? Were you taking that drug? How's your bone density?
It was stout at the time, my friend.
I mean, that's a pretty easy Freudian fucking one there
right.
too. Like, yeah, I was had a dream about Pamela Anderson. Like, oh, okay,
That tracks.
I woke up, my sheets were wet.
I don't know what this says about me, but one night I was like, all right, like the thing I want to do the most in the world, and I convinced myself to dream about it that night, and it worked. It was dope. I was like, I want to be able to dunk just one time. I want to be able to throw it down fucking Sean Kemp style, son.
White men can't jump, son. What are you thinking?
They've got a remake of White Man Can't
Yeah,
Jump that's
yeah, I
coming
heard
out with
that.
our boy Andrew Schultz there.
Totally
Oh
unnecessary.
yeah, 100% unnecessary.
Yeah, for sure, dude.
Totally unnecessary.
The original is
It's great.
one of the great comedies
great
of
movie.
all time, man.
Yeah.
It's so fucking funny.
I only saw it like once. I don't really like know it that well. You know, I saw it like
man.
back in the day. when it
Some
came
of those
out.
90s sports comedies were literally the
Yeah,
funny shit.
yeah,
Major League.
It's a great movie.
Is all-time fucking
Yeah.
funny flick, man.
It's a funny ass movie.
Oh.
Fucking what I wanted to talk about was the fucking I'm not like super into like the comic book shit, like kind of really at all, but this is really random. I was fucking talking shit. I started watching the Michael Keaton Batmans a couple weeks ago, like randomly, the last like 2 weeks. Well, I don't know if you guys saw, but Keaton is back as Batman in the new Flash movie.
Oh,
yeah.
I did
Seen
hear
this
about
shit?
that.
Have you
yeah.
seen the fucking trailer and shit?
Yeah.
I think that's probably about our excitement, but I won't speak.
I'm
excitement
just excited that like it's just weird because I just started watching those movies again, and like it is just cool to like see that, but like I don't give a shit about the Flash.
It's
or whatever,
cool,
you know?
but it's also uncool.
Like pandering or something.
Yeah. Yeah. It feels super pandery to me. It's
Right.
like, why don't we just tell new stories.
Yeah, dude.
Well, there's that. That's kind of a whole.
Or even in the world of, I mean, like comic books are kind of meant to be like recycled and restarted and retell the story over and over, right? But when they do that, like, it's silly,
Dude,
man.
Preaching to the and I've gone off.
This
on
guy
this
hates it more. I'm not a fucking.
episodes.
I'm not a big fan either.
I don't honestly. I like a lot of that stuff. I like the movies. I just like.
I like
They're great.
I
but
roll
it's
my eyes
too
at those
much.
moments,
It's too
you know?
much. Like the whole whole argument, among other things, is that those movies are so high budget and they're so wildly successtional that it just squashes out smaller dope movies that could have been made.
And they're just
like,
cartoons too. Like it's so. I don't know. I just like Batman. That's why I'm like excited.
Yeah.
Like
I make
that's
exceptions
cool.
for Batman, still dope. X-Men, I'll mix in a little bit.
Right.
Spider-Man, but
Yeah.
I mean, I
pick and choose
watch
here,
them, but I don't necessarily
I'm
enjoy
not
them.
caught up at all.
I watch it, but I'm not happy. Dude.
Yeah.
I never saw I never saw Endgame or any of that shit.
Oh, I've
you
seen
know,
all
you know?
those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of like it's again. This is like too many, and I don't love it. So it's like I tend to watch them like I caught up on a bunch of them on a plane one time. You know, it's like, all right, well, I'm stuck on this plane. I might as well catch up on some of this shit now, you know.
To your point, though, it's kind of like the perfect mix of douchiness and ways to capitalize on a flick, right? Because A, it's a superhero movie.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Which, as we have stated 1,000 times, can't miss. It's going to make a fucking billion. And they're going at the nostalgia angle with Michael Keaton. Like, we get the old.
It's their like multiverse thing too. It's not
get
just
the
Keaton. There's
boomer
fucking
audience with the fucking
Batfleck is in it. Like it's like him, and it's like they also have like they don't. It's
So
like,
basically, they're doing the same thing that Spider-Man movie already
that's
did.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It
stinks.
Yes,
It
yes,
stinks,
yes. I just like Michael Keaton back as Batman. What can I say? You know, like
Hey, Batman Forever's great.
yeah. I've been trying to work my way through. You know what else I started watching in that fucking thing because of that was I started going back through Batman, the animated series, the original. It is so good. It's so good. I'm like, I can't believe how good this is for like a kid show. And I mean, like, yeah, of course it's still a kid show and it's campy and whatever, but it's like, but it's also not. I'm like, for a kid show, this is really complex. Like when they introduced like Mr. Freeze, I'm like, this backstory is full on. Like this is like all the layers. Dude, as his wife is murdered and or whatever, and it's like, I'm like, this is like really deep shit for a kid show.
Yeah, dude. That show fucking
That and the X-Men show were like my favorites.
Dude.
X-Men show.
Those are my
fucking
favorites.
I was
huge,
just gonna
dude,
say the
for
same.
real.
I was huge.
And
on
that
It
song.
was the shit, dude.
Yeah.
Oh man,
So good. So good.
love it.
So good.
It is fucking awesome, isn't it?
Cyclops is leading the charge in that storm.
Who's your favorite
that shit,
X-Men?
bro.
X-Man or woman?
Nightcrawler.
X-person.
Ooh,
Nightcrawler.
Good pick.
That's a
good
huge
pick. Yeah,
pick.
Nightcrawler.
Teleport, dude. Teleport's terrifying.
That's true. Yeah. I like some fucking X-Men though for sure. Yeah, and that was the same thing. That cartoon, I was fucking really into that cartoon. It was a great cartoon too.
And heavy.
man.
Like they're like dealing with some
dude.
serious shit.
Same
the
with
whole
that
time.
Batman one, dude.
Yeah.
It's like, man, this is actually really heavy for a fucking kid show, dude.
Mr. Freeze is dragging on a cigarette. I watch my wife get raped and murdered.
No, seriously. It's like
I'm
fuck,
10.
man.
This is a Y7 rated show here. What's going on? Dude? They didn't give a fuck back in the day.
No. And it's only like, it seemed like back then when I was watching it, there was like infinite episodes, but there's only like 3 seasons, but all those seasons are like 25 episodes
Oh, yeah.
deep.
So
You
it's
know,
old
it used to be
school
like
network
that.
seasons. So.
I fucking was really into it. I'm not a big video game guy, but because I like Batman, I got really into the Arkham series,
Sure.
Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, and all that shit. Those were fucking great games too. But part of it was because they were written by and voiced by all the fucking people from the animated series.
That guy died like last year.
Yeah,
Kevin Conroy.
Conroy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like fucking the ultimate, like the best Joker of fucking all of them is
Mark Hamill.
Mark, yeah. Don't get us started on Heath
Skywalker
Ledger.
himself.
But yeah, fucking Mark Hamill, dude, is, and like his introduction as the Joker in that show is wild, dude. It's like the Joker like picks this like this guy up in a car, and he forces him to give him his information, and then like 3 years later he comes back out of nowhere and like forces this guy to like do this huge
Playing
favor
that
for him
long
and shit.
game stuff.
Yeah. It's I was like, damn, this is, and it's like a 2-parter.
Wow.
I'm like, this is really
Throwing it
intense,
down,
actually.
Shit was
And you know,
awesome.
and nowadays we get Like I just watched the the new Ant-Man movie.
Oh yeah,
it's terrible.
Oh yeah, dude,
it's
I don't fuck
terrible.
Yeah, I
don't
can't
fuck
bring
with
myself
it.
Well,
to
like
watch
the
it.
other ones are like kind of charming and kind of funny.
Right, yeah.
And this one still has some of that,
Yeah.
but like it.
Well, when you get down to Ant-Man level, you're scraping the bottom of that comic book barrel, baby.
but even then,
pun
like
intended.
it's
Come
just
on.
the movie itself. Like is bad.
Yeah,
it's all CG.
Yeah,
the story kind of doesn't have anything to do with anything.
Right.
It's like they were just like, I guess. It's like,
Fuck it, sign off.
just
on
throw $100 million at
It's
it.
gonna make 500 million
Yeah.
guaranteed. Paul Rudd.
Yeah.
done deal.
Yeah,
Fucking,
indeed.
Where do I sign?
Handsome son of a bitch.
Thanks. Yeah.
It's and like again, I've seen most of those movies, and some of them better. Some of them are better than others.
Yeah.
But that's one of the first ones so far that's been like just a statement, like just towing it all the way through. It's like this is not a good
Hated
movie.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't love. I don't know. I've always felt like I'm on the fucking outside of that. It's so popular, but he fucking hates it more than I do. You know. Like,
I often watch like weird. I watch weird movies.
yeah.
Yeah.
Same. That's what we came up on was fucking, well, you know, like nowadays I'm trying to watch stuff that's not so weird, you know, like we talked about that. As the older I get, the more I want movies to just be like, have a happy ending. And like,
Right.
you know, I'm like, I only have this much free time. I don't want to spend it feeling bad.
Right. Yeah.
Watch some fucking depressing low budget indie where everybody off and
Yeah,
stuff. Yeah, it's like, oh,
exactly.
that was an awesome Wednesday night. Back to work for 2 more days after
Like, oh,
that.
sad now. Bedtime. Yeah.
This fucking dude I work with, he had this fucking kind of medical issue, and he's on like uppers and downers, and that got me thinking about fucking Requiem for a Dream.
Love it.
Oh,
Do you guys know that movie?
love that movie.
Well, the lady's taking uppers and downers, and she goes crazy, right?
Yeah.
And obviously, that made me think of all that, and I'm just like, that movie is one of the most intense, fucked up movies. I've always said, like, if you want to keep kids off drugs, just show them Requiem for a Dream when they're in 8th grade.
I was
You
one
know?
and done on that flick, son. I watched
Dude,
it. I'm like, nope, all
It's
set.
so
I'm all
intense.
good here.
I've seen it maybe like 4 or 5 times, but
Is it-
every time you just like, I'm gonna go
That's
throw
not
up.
Aronofsky, is it?
Yeah, it
that
is.
was his
Okay.
first
Okay.
big one.
Yeah, first big one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like all his movies.
He's the best, man. Right? I mean,
You see The Whale?
No, it's too, I know.
We've had 30 weeks in a row of the whales. We were doing a Brendan Fraser.
Have you
fat joke a
seen
week.
The Wrestler?
Yes.
Yeah.
If you like The Wrestler, you'll like The Whale.
Yeah.
But it's that tone. It's not like flashy edit. It's like, this is sad.
The
This guy's
Wrestler-
having a hard time.
Yeah,
It's
The
one of the
Wrestler's
sweetest
crazy.
and most underrated movies ever made. The
Yeah.
Wrestler and Mickey
Rourke,
in The
dude.
Wrestler, dude. The
Yeah.
Wrestler rules at every level, dude. It's
If you like that
so
one, you'll
fun.
like The Whale for sure.
That's a
Aronofsky
Oscar fucking
kicks
level
ass.
movie. Everything he makes is fucking
Yep.
Oscar level, dude.
Yeah.
Black
That guy's-
Swan is a great flick.
Yeah,
Super
yeah.
dark.
That's a
Aronofsky
fucked up
rules.
movie for sure. Yeah.
And The Fountain as well.
Dude, that one might be the most like kind of underrated one of all those. It is fucked up, but
don't
in
think
a
I've ever
different
seen
way.
Yeah.
It's
unique.
like this, dude. It is very unique. They tried to for a long time to get that movie off.
That's
the ground. It was-
Hugh Jackman, and
Yeah.
he's like a conquistador and
It's
a
like
brain researcher.
time travel. There's like 3
okay.
Yeah.
eras, and it's all fucking like it's
Tree of
all
Life
about
stuff.
him trying to like save his
Or Fountain of
wife
Youth
or
stuff.
whatever. Yeah, it's like Fountain of Youth.
okay.
Yeah.
It's a fucking weird movie though, because a bunch of it's in fucking like Aztec, fucking the Mayan temples and
He's
shit.
like a
and,
conquistador.
yeah,
He is.
in like one of his lives
In one of
or
them,
whatever.
yeah.
Wolverine just laying away.
Yeah, right.
Fucking
Yeah.
Spaniard over there just dominating
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, and the other one, he's a mutant crime fighter.
I watched a super fun flick. I think it was called Grand Piano with Elijah Wood, who I'm a huge
I don't think
fan
I've
of.
seen that one.
Yeah, like your favorite movie, the one where he's the dead body.
Oh,
no, that's the other guy. I fucked
Same
up.
guy.
Swiss
That's the
Army
other-
Man?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's the
That
other
movie's
guy. I
awesome,
fucked
too.
up.
Daniel Radcliffe and like my other guys in that.
That's
fucking
like
movie.
that kind of movie
Yeah,
is
weird
my
indie
jam.
movies. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Or and these Aronofsky movies too, like
Yeah.
that are
Oh, yeah.
like kind of serious and slow. But just like something like Swiss Army Man versus a fucking Marvel movie.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like it's two people. It's a super weird story, and it's great. And like it makes you think and makes you feel some stuff.
It's so hard to get an original plot. Like everything has been fucking booted, rehashed, redone. Let's get Ant-Man. Give me the fucking Tick, dude. Every bullshit movie.
to make like some kind of music parallel. And I mean, I know a lot of people like
Patrick
rip off
Warburton
songs. Like people rip off songs or whatever, but like if we started a band and then just like put out a bunch of Metallica songs.
Yeah.
We're like, what's the reboot?
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe we should do that, actually. That might be exactly what we need to do. Just reboot Metallica. Yeah, we're rebooting Metallica.
Get them drums set up. We'll start tonight.
Indeed. Grow my handlebar mustache out.
Throwing it down some sanitarium, just getting after it.
I got the White Explorer, too. I'm ready to fucking roll.
There you go.
I'll grow the handlebar stash out. Hell yeah. Fucking A, right.
It's just silly, though, you know?
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, man, movies really fucking have dropped off. I mean, like, we're still big movie fans, and
there's still like great ones out there. It's just they
harder
don't
to find them, you know. And it's a whole thing. You got to hunt. Like, how many fucking hours do you spend scrolling the fucking menu trying to find something that looks watchable?
More time doing that than watching
that movie.
You've got never-ending, growing queue of movies.
For real.
Shows.
It's like when you
never watch any of them.
You get into the age where it takes you longer to try to pee than to pee. That's some comedian. I think that was maybe Patton Oswalt had that joke or something. That's not mine.
You gotta give credit where it's due.
Exactly. That's a funny ass thing, though.
I mean, I find myself kind of falling in that trap with listening to music too.
Yeah.
Like because there's so much.
Yeah.
I almost always listen to whole albums at a time. Like almost always.
We're album guys for sure.
That's awesome. Not a lot of people are.
You gotta have it, dude.
But still, I like listen to a record one time. And then I'm off to the next thing, and then the next thing, and like never go back and listen to it again, you know?
Yeah. At least you're doing that.
Like that awesome Silk Sonic album, I probably listened to maybe twice, maybe 3 times.
Every listen, it's getting better, you know? Like, I'm so deep on that fucking, and I'm just like hearing the horn arrangements and shit now that I never caught. I'm just like, Jesus Christ, this shit is gold. But yeah, you got to commit a little bit on some stuff. It's not easy to do, you know? I usually, like, nowadays I'm playing like fucking lo-fi hip-hop more than about anything, just like you know, fucking vibe music just on the house and whatever, you know, and throwing that shit on shuffle and just letting it play all day.
Still albums for me, man. And I'll do shit where like I bet tomorrow or even on my ride home I'll listen to Queensryche. Because you brought it up and talked about it that you really like it, and I don't know it very well. So like,
you gotta go Queensryche, Operation
Dude,
Mindcrime.
if you like albums, Operation
Mindcrime.
Mindcrime is one of the greatest concept albums ever made. It's like the top 3 greatest concept albums ever.
That's what I'll listen to on the ride home, man.
It's like there's Pink Floyd and, you know,
Dream
Theater. I mean, it's pretty much
Queensryche and everybody
else. Well, that Dream Theater record, I mean, they were very open that they're huge Queensryche fans, and they were basing a lot of that on that Queensryche record as far as the formatting of it and shit like that.
But I'll do that a lot where like kind of depending on a conversation I have.
Yeah.
Like my friend Travis and I were talking about the band War. And I knew some of their albums, but not the first 2.
Trying to educate yourself.
That's like a dude from, I think, the Animals, like the House of the Rising Sun band. The guy left and was in War, which I didn't know. So like today, sit down, start working, whatever. Like, God, what should I listen to? Oh, right. I had that chat with my friend. That's what I'll listen to. You know?
Yeah.
Have you guys throw down and listen to the first War album?
I know.
It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
Have you guys heard the fucking, do you guys like Ghost? The metal band Ghost.
I know the name, but I don't know anything about it.
All right, so Ghost is awesome. You should check out some Ghost.
It's a fun live show.
Great, I've seen them live.
They do the like priest costumes.
Yeah, it's a
but
whole
it's like
thing,
it's like arena rock metal. It's I'm a pretty big Ghost fan, and but they got a new EP coming out, and they cover Jesus He Knows Me by Genesis. Do you guys know that song? Yes, which is a song I always wanted to do, but Phil's voice is just a little kind of on the high side
Ghost
for me.
beat you to the punch, son.
Well, and also Holloway was gonna do fucking the song that Disturbed ended up doing, Land of Confusion.
Okay.
You know that song?
Not by name, no.
Another big Genesis track, right? And it's kind of got this, it's a pretty rockin' Genesis song of the Phil Collins 80s era. It's from the same record, actually, as that Jesus You Know.
Okay.
or I don't know. But anyway, and it's the same deal. And we were kind of like gearing up to do it, and then we were at a show. And they were playing it at the bar, and it's the Disturbed version.
It's going off.
And I know, seriously, we were like, God damn it, because it's like pretty much exactly what we were going to do. You know?
Off the table now.
Yeah,
totally.
You should definitely check out Ghost. I got to say, like, as a pretty big fucking Genesis fan and shit, like, I don't love this cover of Jesus, He Knows Me. Like, it makes sense material-wise for them to do it, but, like, I don't know, his vocal is, like, it's just, I don't know, it kind of doesn't get the job done for me. I'm kind of surprised because I'm a huge Ghost fan, I'm a huge Genesis fan, you know, and it just like, his vocal delivery just like doesn't work for me.
Too much expectation for the original one.
It could be, yeah.
Phil Collins is stinking that shit from wherever he's at. I'm halfway across the globe. It's going, it stinks.
I'm Phil Collins. I'm the best one. Yeah, South Park fan and all.
Yeah, some, yeah.
I love me some South Park, dude.
Yeah, I like that shit.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
What about just comedy in general? You fucking up on comedians at all? Or any of that kind of shit?
Yeah. My sister and brother-in-law are like huge stand-up fans. So like they go see shows like all the time. It's like a whole thing.
Sweet.
So yeah, I'm relatively hip to that. I went and saw Bill Burr at
Van Andel. Yeah, I was at that show too.
Cool.
Yeah, hell yeah. Super funny, man. That shit he did at the end about taking mushrooms in the desert.
Yeah, that's quite good.
Doing that whole show to his fucking, it was cactuses or whatever. And, like, and then there was some guy, I forget what the fuck he was talking about, and of course I'm fucking up his whole bit, but there was some guy on the ridge and he thought it was some kind of phantom or something, and then he like saw him again the next morning or some shit. You remember that shit? Yeah, god damn, that shit was hilarious.
I also like I like Pete Holmes a lot.
Yeah, okay.
And Nate Bargatze is pretty damn funny.
Did you watch that Crashing show with Pete Holmes on HBO?
I don't think so, no.
It's a pretty funny show. It's just about him getting into stand-up, basically.
Oh, great. No, he's funny.
Pete Holmes as Pete Holmes.
Bargatze was just in Grand Rapids again. He played.
Actually, that might be tonight.
Yeah.
Or he's in Kalamazoo tonight or something.
Yeah, no, that would have been last week. That's what it was. It was last week we were down there in Kalamazoo, and the State Theater was one block up, and we drove by, and it was fucking Nate Bargatze at the State Theater in Kalamazoo.
Should have threw it down and hit up that bar.
That would have been far better than seeing my show, dude. For sure, dude. I would have skipped my show and saw that shit, dude.
Sorry, bro. It's Bargatze.
He's okay. He's all right.
Yeah, you're not a big...
Nah, he's all right. He's okay.
I think he's hilarious.
That Bill Burr show was it's like the only big comedy show I've ever been to, though.
Yeah, that was a big one. Dude, you're like, oh my God, I think I talked about it on here, was fucking, you had to put your phone in the whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
And it took like, I don't really care about doing that, but the process took like, it was 2 hours in fucking line, dude. God,
left mine in the car.
Damn, fuck that.
Gotta have it.
Yeah, that sucked.
We fortunately like roll with a group and kind of decided like, all right, if one person's got a phone.
Right, in case of emergency.
We can find the other person we're meeting there.
Yeah.
But no,
that happened to us, and you forget, you don't got your money. And like that fucking happened where like I don't know where I am. I don't know where she is, you know. And I'm like, you can't just be like, hey, I'm at the seat.
Yeah.
You know.
I think it's cool though. I like it actually.
I agree. I'm pro put your phone away.
Or it's like the hassle at the beginning and end is well worth that nobody has one.
I didn't feel like it was at that
with it.
juice.
You know? Worth the squeeze.
I think they'll get it locked down better. That was I don't know, man. I was drunk and the fucking like we got fucked over in the line and like
right.
I was in a mood, you know, it just took for fucking ever to get in there with that shit. So like I'm like, all right, get it down. I mean, like fucking, you know, infamously at Tool shows, any of those shows, it's like they'll just throw you out. It's like a different way of doing it. Like they announce it 15 times. Don't take your phone out. If you do, no warning, you're out. You know, so like I kind of prefer that way of handling it. But that said, it is different for a comedian. You know, everybody's heard Tool play Stinkfist a million times. If you're working up a new routine and like you can't have it be put out there because then nobody's going to watch the special.
Right.
And nobody's going to buy the ticket to fucking next week's show.
You already heard the joke.
Yeah.
Yes. So it is different, admittedly.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Dude, comedy's fucking wild from the perspective of being a performer.
Yeah.
Or like you have band practice and you work your songs out and you go play them, or even, dude, even like being in a fucking jam band and improvising a bunch where the show's different every night.
Yeah.
it's still not the same as like you're just alone for an hour. Be funny now. Go.
Yeah.
Yeah, indeed.
And all that additional stuff about like having to protect the material and that later you're going to put out the recording, but it has to come out after you've done the tour.
Right.
Like bands do the opposite. You put the record out and then go play it for people.
Well, I fucking have wondered about that a lot of the time too. And it's actually, you probably know, it's a little more common in the jazz world and whatever to tour and everything. And then after they've been doing that for a minute, then they'll record it. It's a different business model, but it actually makes more sense for bands too to record your shit after you've toured it, because then you know it way better. It's way tighter, you know, like.
Well, it's crucial holding on to that material. I mean, we make all of the guests on this show. We obviously Faraday bag your phone before you came in. We can't let these crucial news zingers get out there into the wild.
You got to keep it secret.
Signed a disclosure. Is that a Lord of the Rings reference?
It was, yeah. I like those movies too.
The fucking biggest Lord of the Rings nerd, dude. Don't get me started. There's my fucking set of fancy pants fucking Lord of the Rings up there.
I never read the books.
Yeah, then I got the paperbacks for actually reading. Those ones just sit there and look cool. You should, man. Like, it's worth it. There's certain books that are like, it's worth it. You should read it.
Well, I am a reader. I'm a writer for a living, and I got an English degree and everything.
Oh, killer.
So I read quite a bit.
Yeah, okay.
Man, kind of in the way that, like, I like weird movies. I like weird novels.
Yeah.
And I've kind of got a thing for, like I'm like Kurt Vonnegut fan, Chuck Palahniuk fan, stuff like that. I read a lot of Stephen King when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
But I never read Dark Tower, because fuck series.
It's right there.
I want
also very worth it.
I want the story in 300 or 400 pages.
Yeah.
Right.
And I read the last page and I go, that was a good book. Which one's next? And not like 500 pages later and being like, all right, part 2.
Yeah.
Well, there's kind of two things there, though. There's ones that like have a very definite ending, like the Dark Tower, like the Lord of the Rings. I mean, the Lord of the Rings was literally written as one thing, and
it's just so fucking long. It's got to be
the publisher basically made him be like, you have to split this up, dude, you know, and so he did, you know. But Dark Tower is definitely worth reading, man, especially the first one. Just honestly, what you're describing that you like. Just read the first Dark Tower, which is very different from the rest, because he wrote it as almost this exercise of bizarreness. And it's like a story inside a story, and it's westerny and trippy and weird. It's very weird. And it is kind of like just a series of short stories.
Right.
Then, like 20 years later, he was like, I'm going to write a whole series based, and then it becomes just a Stephen King thing.
Yeah.
And it's very Stephen King, where the first one's like probably his most unique piece of writing he ever did. And people that are big fans of the series shit on the first one because they like the Stephen King-y, you know, regular Stephen King kind of thing. It's still great. Don't get me wrong. It's very good. I loved it. And, but the first one, to me, I'm always like, that's the best one. It's the shortest. It's the weirdest.
I'm sold.
Yeah. Definitely check it out.
In conclusion, Operation Mindcrime. And
I'll listen to that shit too. I should be taking notes, man.
Yeah, well, me too. You've dropped a bunch of fucking names too. This shit I haven't heard, dude. That's one of the funnest parts about doing this. Books, though, dude. Do you read any other fantasy at all?
No, not really, man. No, like a lot of Vonnegut.
Yeah.
And honestly, a lot of just weird, kind of random. Like I really like Mark Danielewski. Read House of Leaves.
Okay.
I don't know if you ever heard of that.
No, I don't know him.
It's very bizarre.
Yeah.
Again, story within a story within a story.
Yeah.
It's super weird. It's printed in a couple of different typefaces.
I dig that.
Eventually, the people are kind of in a labyrinth, and the printing is sideways and upside down and backwards. And the more confused they are, the more confusing the book gets.
Oh, that's neat.
It's very, very wild.
Yeah.
And he's written a couple that are super interesting.
I got two big recommendations for you. First,
I don't really
foremost,
fuck with the big long fantasy books, though, man. Just not my style.
But I'm telling you, you'll like this because it's.
You say that.
You will. I promise you will. The fan
900 pages.
Right.
It's incredible.
There's only 18 parts. That'd be great.
These are just regular books. A regular size. They're a novel. It's a regular size novel. But it's fucking. I've talked about it here before. This guy named Joe Abercrombie. He does this dark fantasy series called The First Law, and there's now. Don't get scared. Now there's 9 books, but you don't have to read all of them. But the writing, again, it's very, like, I don't know. It's dark. It's bizarre. It's extremely funny. It's not like, it's like he kind of was doing the same thing George R.R. Martin was in a way, but even more like, he's like, I'm trying to take fantasy and make it like, less nerdy and more entertaining and modern, and it's ultra violent. There's no good guys or bad guys, so that I really want to recommend to you. But based on what you're saying there, do you know the author Harlan Ellison?
No.
Harlan Ellison is considered to be like kind of one of the godfathers of science fiction. He would roll over in his grave because he hated that word, and he called what he did speculative fiction. And most of it, a lot of it, is in the short story format.
That's great. Well, like what era?
60s, 70s. I think he actually started maybe in the 50s, but it'd be 60s, 70s, 80s. He just died like 2 years ago.
I saw your Arthur C. Clarke books up there.
Well, I collect vintage sci-fi, one of the things. So there's a lot of it, and then a lot of the paperbacks over there. There's a whole stack of Ellison right there, and then all those paperbacks up there. He has this fucking collection of short stories called The Beast That Shouted Love at the Heart of the World.
Sounds great.
It is one of the greatest fucking collections of short stories I've ever read, dude. And it's some of it's sci-fi, but also some of it's bizarre, humorous stuff. He was this little Jewish dude and kind of controversial. Like he did some kind of like weird, I don't know. He'd probably get Me Too'd pretty hard.
He was a
nowadays.
weird sci-fi writer.
Yeah.
Guy.
He was like 5'5", or like short dude. But he was also very pro. He used to do these things where he would sit in a bookstore window on the street and work and type where people could watch him as a famous artist. So he had this whole thing about showing that writing or being an artist in general is about like just sitting down and doing the work. Like it's a job. Like you have to sit there and do
100% agree with that.
Right. Which is like Stephen Pressfield's The Art of War and all that shit.
Yeah, I'm super into all that shit, man.
Well, so Harlan Ellison was a big proponent of that back in the day too.
Cool.
Yeah. And just like, dude, his fucking chops as a writer are like, you read a sentence and you gotta reread it. Not because you didn't understand, but because you kind of can't believe, like, I'm like, damn, dude.
I try really hard. I listen to nonfiction and read fiction.
Same.
For that exact, like, because I want to chew on it.
Yes. That's why you need to read The Lord of the Rings, because it's about more than the story. It's about the actual prose that it's written in is something like altogether different. Same out, and I would say my favorite, here, fucking go on it again. My favorite author of all time is H.P. Lovecraft.
Okay.
Same reasons, where this guy would write a paragraph and then you realize it's all one sentence.
Yeah.
And it's perfectly grammatically correct and and you're like, holy fuck, man. Like, how did you even do that? You know?
Practice.
Like, yeah, seriously. Yeah. But if you like weird shit, H.P. Lovecraft is all bite sized. Mm-hmm. There's some like novellas.
I've read some of those over the years.
And you have to like, it's like a whole mythos, and it starts kind of not that great. It's these kind of little clunky short stories, right? And then it just keeps growing and keeps growing.
Yeah, just like a band, man. Start, you know, it's like you learn as you go.
Yep. So I definitely, but you got to be careful with Lovecraft because you'll turn into a huge asshole.
In sci-fi land, I like Philip K. Dick.
Yeah, same.
There's some stuff that I dig.
Harlan Ellison would be very akin to Philip K. Dick in that same kind of speculative weirdness. It's not like rocket ships and shit. It's like weird visions of shit.
Oh my God, Valis is so strange. But it's also about his own psychotic break.
Yes.
So
I've only read like 3 Dick books. That was one. Scanner Darkly, which is one of my favorite movies of all time as well. And one of the others. The World War II, if the Nazis won the war, they made the series of a couple years ago.
Yeah, I don't remember the title, but I know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about. Yep.
I like the 3 Stigmata of Palmer Eldritch.
Okay.
It's a very weird one.
Yeah, I know that.
They like
I know
make
the title.
miniatures. It's like something about there's like a colony on Mars, but to get stuff there, they like shrink it down so they can like send tiny stuff and then like re-biggin it. Or something, you know?
Sort of re-biggin, dude.
Yeah.
Bro,
he's got the episode title right there.
Yeah, indeed. All right, there you go. Did fucking you ever watch like the documentary about that dude? How he's like, I don't know what you know about him, but he was just like, super poor and like was eating fucking the infamous that was eating horse meat or something.
Dude, Valis is basically autobiographical.
Yeah.
Like it's a wacky story, but that's the shit that he was going through.
Yeah.
Like all the pink light from the sky shooting into his like legit psychotic episodes.
Yeah.
Jesus,
his paranoia, the whole thing.
I always felt like the ones that I did read of him, like they felt like not finished to me.
Because
like,
he was a crazy person.
Yeah, they're all like first drafts.
Yeah.
And it was like, this needed to go back and be like kind of edited and like fleshed out a little or something. It would just be like, even the sentences, it's like the opposite of Lovecraft, where the sentence would just be like incomplete. You're just like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean,
it's cool though, man. Again, like music, like movies, like directors, whatever.
Yeah.
As a whole, just all the different flavors in the world. I love, you know?
Yeah.
It's like find new shit, see what you dig.
Have you ever read like, you ever actually read like Mark Twain?
Fuck yes, I have.
That's something I've never really actually read, and that's up on my list of something I got to get to. It's getting into some of that shit.
I would recommend especially the later stuff, the like essays or some of the like less popular stories.
Right.
Prince and the Pauper, or like all the stuff that's in The Damned Human Race. And he's like short story stuff.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's weird.
Yeah.
And he was like, Mark Twain reminds me a lot of like, it's the lineage of Kurt Vonnegut and George Carlin.
Yes.
And
well, they say people will say that Mark Twain invented stand-up comedy.
Yeah, the who's the comedian? That's the beginning of
Lenny
Third
Bruce.
Eye. No, the beginning of Third Eye.
Oh, yeah. Fucking.
I can't think of his name.
I know. Now
Bill
you
Hicks.
put me on the spot.
Bill
Yeah.
Hicks.
Yes.
But it's like that same look around at all these idiots.
Okay.
You know, like a bunch of Mark Twain stuff is wonderful like that.
Yeah, that's getting fucking that's been on the list for a long time for me. And then have you ever read John Steinbeck?
Yeah.
Bro.
Yeah.
The
Again,
short stories of John Steinbeck.
I have an English degree, so
Yeah.
like when it's
You
the
had to read
classic
Steinbeck,
stuff, you just you get assigned a bunch of that.
Yeah. I've read, I mean, you see there's a lot of my classics out here and shit. I got a thing now I've been doing for the last, I don't know, while that I try to read one big classic like a year.
Sure.
You know, like, all right, I got to get to like a couple years ago, I was like, I'm going to finally really read for real the Divine Comedy. Like I'm going all in, you know, you're like, it's
And
hard,
the older
right?
it is, the harder it is.
And it's like it'd be like shit like that. And I've never really read Shakespeare, so that's also on my list. Like I really want to try. Like it was like maybe a year ago, I saw some shit that was Shakespeare in something else, and I read it, and I was like, holy shit, that's amazing. I actually get it now. It's like I'm old enough and smart enough and have the reading skill to understand it. You know, so
it's
I wanna
great.
read that.
It's great. It's just the older you go, like the kind of harder it is to contend with.
Same. I've slogged through the Iliad and the Odyssey. You know, made it through those. That's rough. And I was pretty young. That's rough.
You ever tried Frankenstein?
Yeah, I've read Frankenstein
brutal.
a couple of times. I like Frankenstein.
It's
but yes.
good, but dense.
Yeah, and another one that I have a fucking killer copy of, but I've never really read it, is Dracula. I've never actually read the original Dracula.
Very dense.
Yeah, it's just,
I remember being in, I think, high school, and there being a dusty old paperback of Dracula. You know, it's 3 inches thick or whatever. And, you know, I've always been a pretty avid reader, word nerd type.
Nice.
And I'm like, oh. And like, pick it up in class or wherever I was and read
Blow
about the
dust up.
first read about the first page and go, man, I just gotta put it back down maybe later.
that's what I'm saying is like reading is really a skill. And
Yeah, it
like,
absolutely
you
is.
got to get better at it. And like, I mean, even like, you know, the first time through Lord of the Rings was not easy, you know, when I was whatever, 18, 19 or something like that.
I'm currently reading Marcus Aurelius Meditations.
Dude, I want to read that
it's
too,
well
man.
played.
Yeah.
Well, after hearing it quoted all the time, just like bought a paperback. And so, you know, plenty of it is not as applicable as the excerpts would make you think.
Right.
Plenty of it is like very specific to his own life. But it's very, very good. Or like, I really like Emerson, Ralph Waldo Emerson. But again, these brilliant essays, wonderful ideas, philosophical gold. But it's also like, okay, this thing that I'm reading was actually a 55-minute speech.
Yeah.
That's just like,
But like, it's now like,
A lot.
it was a different kind of form of entertainment
It is.
then. And like,
oration.
yeah. And it's, I don't know, now it's like nobody's has the attention span to hold an argument that long, you
Right.
know, or something. And it's like, man, like the brilliance of like writers from just like 100 years ago, you know, are like way better in technical sense. I think
It's sort of a
than-
lost art, but it also just reflects how language changes too.
True,
It like
yep.
reflects that evolution in efficiency and shortness and slang and kind of the.
just like Hemingway that was his big thing, right?
Yeah.
Like shortening.
And it's also worth acknowledging like those old things, Dante's Inferno, Paradise Lost. Well, if 85% of the population is illiterate, you know, like these things are they're not elitist, but they are for the elite.
It's a good point.
And then all of the other people in the world might be speaking in the dumbest, broken, slang-filled sentences, just like everybody else is now. But they stand this test of time for centuries and centuries, and they're the classics. And we're like, well, why can't the average 15-year-old get through Frankenstein? Like, the average 15-year-old couldn't get through Frankenstein when it was written.
That's a good point. I mean,
You know?
those were very elite people writing that shit. I mean,
Right.
Dante, it was, and I mean, fucking Mary Shelley, whatever her name was, you know, it was her and Lord Byron and Percy Shelley.
Yeah,
at
is
the
she like
lake or
his
whatever.
kid or something? I don't know
No,
exactly.
she married Percy Shelley.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was Mary something, fucking space on it. But she was also obviously an aristocrat, and they were
Right.
18 and on the shores of the Switzerland fucking thing. And it's the infamous story. I don't know this, but that year that volcano erupted.
Oh, shit.
And the whole summer, the fucking sky over fucking Lake Geneva or wherever they were summering was like clouded, right? And so that's why there's like this darkness to all the shit they were writing then, including, you know,
That's
what became
awesome. No,
Frankenstein.
I've never heard that before. That's tight.
That's why a bunch of that book takes place in Geneva and all that. 'cause
They're
were like,
fighting on the glacier and shit.
yeah, dude, I love the fucking movie they made though, with fucking. Do you know what I'm talking about? Mary Shelley's Frankenstein came out in like the late 90s.
I don't know that I ever saw it, or if I did, I was like whatever, a teenager and don't remember it. But I know I can like think of the trailer kind of, or
it's fucking. God,
Is it De Niro?
De Niro, thank you. It's Robert De Niro
Oh,
plays
shit, really?
the monster.
What?
Dude, it is sick. It's the guy who wrote and direct. I mean, he didn't obviously write Frankenstein, but he wanted to make a real version of the book, which had never been done. It'd always been the fucking whatever, the old classic.
The Boris Karloff
Yes.
stuff, yeah.
That guy's that Kenneth Branagh or whatever. He's still making great movies. He made fucking the first. He's made a ton of shit. He's got that. It's like he's making those Agatha Christie movies now. But he also made the first like Thor movie. Like he's a big director.
Yeah.
And he's an
Super
actor
familiar.
too. He's in like he acts and directs, and he plays Victor Frankenstein and fucking in the movie and directs this movie. It's Helena Bonham Carter.
That's right.
17, you know.
I do got to
And, like,
tell you. You asked about comedy. Young Frankenstein, always
Come
and
on,
forever.
dude.
Yeah.
Always and forever.
all
so
the fucking
funny.
Mel
So
Brooks,
well
dude.
played.
I love that movie.
My
so
favorite
much.
Mel
Gene
Brooks is
Wilder's-
fucking Men in Tights, dude. Robin Hood Men in Tights, bro. Some about that one, it was a time and place. I was the right age, you know.
I still don't think I've ever seen Men in Tights.
I've probably talked about this on here too, but I have a actual script from that movie that was used on set that my dad bought me off of eBay for my birthday when I was like
that's a
in my
huge
20s.
for sure.
I know. And there's a bunch of gags in it that aren't in the movie, you know, that they either shot and cut or whatever, you know. So it's just fucking kind of cool.
Indeed.
There's another modern author, a guy named Anthony Mara.
Ooh.
That I recommend very, very highly. I have his new one, but I haven't read it. He's got 2 out. One is called A Constellation of Vital Phenomena.
Oh yeah, I like that.
And it's about it's about like Chechnya in the like early 90s. But it's like whatever, these family conflict and whatever, but the writing, like the skill in the paragraphs is
That's what
incredible.
I'm saying, man. It's like great, especially within fiction and stuff. Like, it's more than just the story. It's the way it's written. You know, it's that alone puts you in a mood. Or
the other one is like my favorite, maybe one of my favorite books of all time. It's called The Tsar of Love and Techno, and it's presented as a mixtape. And it's a short story collection, and they're all like interconnected by like a painting that's of this hillside that in one of the stories, like this people's like brother dies there, and in another story there's a house there. But the first story, the guy's like a Stalin era propaganda painter where he like paints people in and out of photos.
Yeah.
And there's a ballerina. It's like it's all these threads.
Damn.
And the further you get into it, like it'll call back to one and call back to another.
They Pulp Fiction that shit.
Yeah. It's incredible.
I'm glad they're still like out there making that shit. You know what I mean?
Me too,
like,
man. Me too.
You know, like that's a fucking, because, you know, books ain't what they used to be either. People aren't rushing to the bookstore and like, it's awesome that there's still people that are like pushing that envelope and finding new creative ways to like, you know, put together a story or a collection of stories.
I did read No Country for Old Men.
Yeah.
And if you're a fan of the movie, I highly recommend the novel.
Cormac McCarthy?
Yeah.
Or whatever? Yeah.
Also wrote The Road.
Yeah, several fucking... I've never read any of his stuff, but...
Have you seen the movie No Country for Old Men?
Yes, yeah.
Other than a couple of little things, it's almost like note for note, beat for beat.
That's good.
And Cormac does that Hemingway thing where it's like super short, punchy sentences, very, very little punctuation. And it's, if you think about the movie, it's kind of tense, right? It's all very, oh my God, the guy's chasing us. So, oh my God, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
So I mean, I read it in days.
Yeah.
Like it just, you fly through.
Oh, that's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, it's very, very good. Highly recommend that one.
Do you know fucking, oh fuck, now I'm spacing the fucking names on this guy's too. Joe R. Lansdale.
No, sounds like a fantasy writer though.
No, he's like he writes a bunch of shit. They're making a movie of one of his things right now with Peter Dinklage. Actually, he's a Texas guy, and he writes these like Texas true crime, and that's not true, but like Texas like crime stories. Dude,
so is Matthew McConaughey in the movie too?
He should be. Yeah. Well, they had this series of his shit, and I fucking spaced the name. And it had that dude from The Wire with the scar, the black guy who just died.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That was one of his big series that I fucking can't remember the name, but that's great shit too. Very, very comical. You know, very fucking violent and bizarre. You know, because it's like, it's East Texas and Louisiana, and so it's just real weird, you know,
sketchy country.
Yeah, it's fun shit. I definitely recommend
country.
that. Especially they're small too. There's a lot of short stories, and then the novels are like short, like, you know, it's like beach read, like, you know, like super fun shit.
Yeah.
I
try, man. I don't know if you guys find this. It's hard for me to read when I'm at home. I like go sit at the bar and read.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like there's like too many other things at the crib.
Distractions.
I can't read with noise in the background.
I kind of like it.
My mom's one of those people you can sit there and be talking to her and she has no idea. Like there's one little thing in the background voice-wise.
It all kind of blends together, like if you're like in a kind of crowded public place. But
yeah,
no, it's like I got drums and the internet at my house.
Right.
So I'll grab the books in the car because I might like stop somewhere on the way home.
What do you get into for nonfiction? You said you kind of alternate, and I'm a huge audiobook fan too.
A lot of it is like psychology, anthropology stuff.
Okay.
I'm actually listening to a really bizarre book about sex research right now.
Okay.
Called Bonk. But yeah, I mean, and music stuff too.
Yeah.
David Byrne has a really awesome book.
Oh, I bet.
Called How Music Works.
I heard of that.
It's really
Came out a
good.
couple years ago.
Yeah, some fascinating stuff about like the relationship between music and architecture.
Oh, okay.
Like
makes sense.
The short version is like, think about choral music in a cathedral.
Yeah.
It's all whole notes, it's all reverb.
Yeah.
Because the building sounds like that. And think about like a sweaty punk rock club with low ceilings.
Oh.
And it's full of bodies, so a bunch of short notes.
That's a super interesting premise,
Right?
Yeah,
and he's got there's another whole bit that's kind of related to that same idea, but recording platforms, like whether it's like an LP or a 45 or a CD or streaming or whatever.
That's interesting. Okay.
And some other like anthropology stuff, psychology stuff.
Yeah. I like that stuff too.
Yeah.
Right now I'm down a fucking Graham Hancock fucking rabbit trail. He's the fucking ancient apocalypse fucking.
Oh, fuck that.
You know, like not into that.
I love off of Graham Hancock for a
he's
minute.
talking out his ass,
Shit,
man.
dude. Have you fucking caught Graham Hancock on Rogan or any of that shit?
No.
Well, then you don't know. Then you don't know, dude.
I watched the first episode of the TV show and laughed my way all the way through it.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
And then read about how like he's not actually have any of the credentials that he claims to, and a bunch of shit like that.
He doesn't claim to have any credentials. I'm not going to get into it about Graham Hancock, but I mean, he's literally like, I'm just a journalist. You know.
But like, you got a Carl Sagan book on your shelf.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Demon Haunted World is one of my favorite. And
I got
like
that's in the other room. I got that one too.
And like the whole shit about the baloney detection kit, right? Like that's life principles, right? And when it's when people would be talking about ancient aliens, I'm like, run it through the baloney detection kit, and it doesn't fucking work.
Most of it, no. Yeah,
right.
But it's also very entertaining.
It is entertaining.
The problem is when you can't separate that. You know,
I would agree with that entirely.
You know, if you're watching this because it's like, and I also say about like Ancient Aliens, like I've seen fucking probably every episode of that show more or less, and it's of course a lot of it's preposterous. I've actually learned more about real history from that show too, of stuff that I've never heard of.
Sure,
and it's like, is it aliens? Probably not. Almost certainly not. But I've never heard of this place.
Yeah.
Nobody else is telling me about this fucking place. And there is too. It's like, I mean, the Great Pyramid, any of it, we don't fucking know, dude. Like that's the thing is you can say whatever you want about like science and shit, but a lot of that is just like when you actually look at it, it's like the things we think of as fact are only perpetuated as fact because somebody said that 20 years ago or 40 or 100 years ago, and it keeps getting repeated, but it's not actually a fact.
Yes and no.
That's not everything, but there's a lot of stuff, like the biggest example, like the pyramids are tombs. There's actually no evidence for that.
Well, it's all
so
like as best of an educated guess as you can make,
correct,
right?
correct.
So it's fun to listen to everything,
but that's different than a fact. An educated guess being like, it's probably this.
The idea is that we're all working from the same body of evidence. And you are allowed, if you don't believe their claim, go do the work.
Right.
And when they say things about how space works, say, like when people like Lawrence Krauss talk about space or Stephen Hawking talk about space, and it sounds wild that it's curved and the particle has a negative spin and you can't see the particle in two places, all this shit.
Yeah. Spooky.
But they show you all their math.
Yeah.
And when they say there's a pyramid, okay, there's a pyramid. We can look at the materials. We can look at all this stuff. And they go, did aliens build it? That's not rooted in any information.
Yeah.
It's just we took all the information. It's confusing. And so we assign an answer to
but
it.
right now, I'm not talking about aliens right now. I'm talking about the actual world of archaeology.
Yes, absolutely.
And what you're describing is what actual archaeologists are doing, where they're just this is it, and there's nobody can ever question anything. And it's like we've only been looking at this thing for a couple hundred years. You know,
and they're fallible humans too.
100%. And there's politics.
Yep.
And
funding,
degrees, and funding, and all of that stuff. So you take a guy. Graham Hancock is not an ancient aliens guy.
Sure,
he's not. He's about. It's something completely different. He's looking at. And it's not just
more
him
like
either.
length
Lost
of the
civilization stuff
length
is,
of the human timeline versus outer space shit.
And I mean, you're talking about evidence, and it's like shit like this Robert Schoch dude, who's the guy who is a PhD geologist, who's going, there's no other way that this fucking water erosion on the Sphinx happened. Like, there's no other way, but he's somehow some sort of pseudoscientist, but he's not. So that's all this is, and that's all I'm talking about right now.
Yeah.
Is like,
well, and a lot of this stuff, it's when we think about, say, whatever, say it's like computer stuff or things we might take for granted now, say like satellite technology, that we take for granted now.
Yep.
That's been developed in, say, the last 100 years.
Right.
In its early stages.
Yep.
It was probably full of all kinds of arguments and counterclaims because they are just human beings, right?
Yep.
And when somebody discovers something, air quotes, discovers something, true or not, they're like, I learned it. I'm stoked about it.
Yeah.
And they climb up on top of their pedestal and they go, I found the answer.
Right.
And everybody argues about it. And then 70 years later, we're like, okay, now that 5,000 people have argued about it, we got a pretty good idea of what's going on.
Right. Well, you've got to look at it like the burden of proof as that becomes more ridiculous.
Yeah.
Or like, you know, the more absurd the claim, the higher it becomes the fucking burden of proof. Right?
Yeah.
You got to take an Occam's razor
extraordinary
approach.
claims.
The most obvious answers.
Extraordinary
probably,
evidence. Yeah. And that's, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And
which isn't to say that there is not, though. Like, look at some of the stuff.
Some shit's crazy
with the quantum physics and the fucking all of the
100%.
Things are very confusing.
Stuff, you know, and the replicating in space time. And the
things are
curvature,
very confusing
to your
out
point
there.
earlier.
Right.
But
very confusing.
Also, to your point, it's all backed up with math, so it's like this is kind of is what it is.
And
But
even
it's
then,
absurd to think about
it's
at
like
surface level, right?
Even then, it's like they observed something, they made a mathematical model. Eventually, they matched up. And they go, we think this is the math.
Literally guessing at it and then just, this happened. Yeah,
and it worked out. So for now, we'll use this equation.
Yeah.
It's all so much, and to your point, it's all so much squishier than people think. Like this idea of like, I know some things, whatever, like the earth rotates around the sun.
Yeah.
Like we can mostly accept that that's true.
Right. 500 years ago, they were burning motherfuckers at the stake about it, though. That's the thing, right?
The flat earth does indeed revolve around the sun. I think we're all on the same page here.
But so many other things are like true-ish. It's like almost. And even, again, like I'm really into psych books and stuff. So the fallibility of the senses and the fallibility of brain mechanisms, the ways we will latch onto ideas or explain away other things or fall in line with our group or in all the ways that we aren't really in control of our thoughts and actions as like what we think of as ourself, our like kind of inner monologue consciousness or whatever. So like with that in mind, almost every claim is a little bit suspect.
Yeah.
Well, think about
or every claim that like comes from an individual or even like a group of individuals, because like people do weird shit. Brains are weird, man.
In addition to all the variables on the human side you just mentioned, there's also in some cases the aspect of like you're trying to piece together things on animals which have been extinct for 60 million years, right? And look at the dinosaurs with feathers stuff that they're starting to come out with now, it's like, these weren't reptiles, these were fucking
they're birds,
feathered
not lizards.
crazy birds, basically descendants of that. So like you do the best with the information you're given. as you learn more, you've got to be malleable enough to change your opinion.
Exactly.
Like as new information comes to light.
Absolutely.
And if it's proven true.
That's the hard part, though, is that people are so tied into their ideas because of, for like all those reasons we just listed, you know? Right. It's like,
I learned about some shit. I'm trying to remember. It's like rooted in some probably like MRI or whatever, like brain scan kind of stuff. But this idea of idea as identity, right? Or like, so like if you've got your thoughts or your beliefs kind of wrapped up in yourself as a person, and that like counterclaims or like threats to beliefs are basically the same in your brain as like literal physical threats to your safety.
Yes.
Well, it's an attack on who you believe yourself to be. It couldn't be any more of a fundamental thing when you tie your identity to X, Y,
but
Z
that your
ideal,
body responds as though I had a knife on you or there's a tiger in the bushes or whatever.
Thing. Yeah. That's an interesting point, and that's especially true with like people's political identities, dude. Like,
it's who you are. So when it's threatened, it's like defend.
It's definitely human nature.
In a way,
double down.
It strikes the same chord though, because it's a fucking blow to like your very fucking existence. And who you are. You know,
right? Because it's not. We don't interpret it as that's a incorrect idea or that's a bad idea. It's you're a bad person for having it or whatever. And suddenly it's this whole safety thing.
Crazy, dude.
And people behave. Why? And then again, with that wrapped up with that our brains do fucky stuff all the time and we don't really think very straight and all kinds of influences are going on all the time. Like, who knows what the fuck's going on ever.
For
really.
Sure, for sure.
Like the more I learn about it, the more I think about it. When I'm kind of in the world, I'm just like, it's fine. It's all fine. Nobody knows what's going on.
The older you get, the more you realize that nobody fucking knows.
Exactly.
You don't know shit, and neither do the people that are telling you the shit.
That's the famous quote of like, what I forget what it is, but that's what true wisdom is understanding you don't know anything.
Is that what the quote is?
Yeah, there's a bunch of versions of it.
And then really nobody else does either. And that's not to say, like, in a specific way. If I was like, fire me up a Pro Tools session. Yeah, you know how to do that. Like, I know how to play a rock beat on the drums.
Yeah.
Like, people do know stuff, but in these like broad, the way of the world, how it is questions. Or like, dude, nobody knows anything.
Yeah, right. Indeed.
Best guess, just limping forward as best we can.
100%. And that's why I like my favorite shit is the mysterious. And I mean, so even like we could talk shit and I'm fine about it with fucking somebody like Graham Hancock or any of these. I'll bother them where he fucking yo-yos, right? But
well, that's the only thing that troubles me about that shit. Because you're right that there is A, entertainment, and B, there is value in just kind of what we're talking about, speculative fiction.
Yeah.
There's value in thought experiment and just where does your mind take you?
Right.
The danger, the trouble is that there are folks out there without those filters and they hear a kind of preposterous claim and it comes to the TV set in a guy in a suit and they go, well, must be true.
Sounds official.
100%.
Looks official. And then the claim is wholesale.
Yeah.
And then goes right back into this kind of confused worldview. And
that's what you're saying, the bullshit detector or whatever. And it's knowing how to think, like having been, I don't know, taught how to think or understanding how to think. Because it's like, dude, like I'll fucking go down crazy rabbit holes of weird paranormal shit or whatever. But then like I also, Carl Sagan and fucking, you know, who's the fucking biologist guy? Fucking Dawkins, you know?
Yeah, Dawkins
I've read like
is great.
all of Dawkins' shit, dude. I love all of it, you know? So like, you know, it's all good to me.
You're not like calling your family in the middle of the night going, oh, crack the code.
Yeah.
It was the Jupiter people in 1650.
But ultimately, like, and there's still, by proxy, the fact that we don't know shit, there's still a reasonable chance some of this shit's going to come true. Right? Look at like the whole Tic Tac thing. Most
UFO?
Yeah, well, air quotes or whatever it is. But look at it in the most conservative way. Say it is a drone that we made the technology for, secret government project, the end. Cool. So somebody figured out how to fucking warp space-time then and defy physics. So what other can of worms does that open up possibility?
Right.
Guys? Like we're so fucking infantile in our understanding of so many things.
It's true.
And yet every generation is so dead set on the belief that they've gotten it 100%.
Yep, it's all figured out.
And
Done.
100
Put a
years
bow
ago,
on
those
it.
guys are
Yep.
fucking idiots. Across the board, endless count,
Even in some of that really brilliant Marcus Aurelius stuff, right? So full of. I mean, I've been marking little passages the whole time. It's wonderful.
Right.
I plan to go back over and over and over again.
Yeah.
But there will be these bits, and a lot of his philosophy is kind of about like the universal whole.
Okay.
And he'll say things about like what you've experienced in one lifetime is everything that everyone can experience. It's the same thing your ancestors saw. It's the same thing the future will see.
Wow.
And now, that's philosophically right about the way people behave, greed, anger, jealousy, love, all that stuff. Oh, cool. That's good to think about. But as I'm reading, I'm like, yeah, but what would this motherfucker think about a smartphone?
Yeah, indeed.
Like, what if I just like lit a lighter in front of it? Like, mind blown. No, you have not seen everything.
Marcus, bro, check out the Switch.
Right.
Check out Mario Kart on the Switch.
Yeah, you have definitely
Come get
not
some,
experienced everything that people in the future will experience.
One more fucking book I wanted to ask you if you've ever read, and I wanted to ask you if you read it too. Did you guys read that Chaos book about fucking like it's all the fucking Kennedy assassination and the all that? Do you know what I'm talking about?
The one that took like 30 years to put
Yeah,
together or
it's
whatever.
about the fucking serial killer dude.
Yeah.
Fucking
It's
California.
like Tom Papa's neighbor or something random like that. Isn't
Jesus Christ, man, that book's incredible.
I don't know anything about this.
It's fucking God damn it, I'm too fucking high right now. What's the name of the fucking serial killer guy from California?
Charles Manson.
Charles Manson. Thank you, Jesus Christ.
Which one?
I know, right? It's the fucking Charles Manson shit.
There was a period from about 60 to 75.
I couldn't even conjure his name right now, though, dude. I'm fucking fading. But it's about fucking that guy and the fucking MK Ultra LSD experiments and shit.
Yeah.
Dude, it is fucking wild. But
The guy
also,
spent like 30 years of his life researching well, it originally started out as going to be like an article in a paper journal or something. And then it just went so far.
Could I
rabbit hole.
pose like a tangential, like this is a total tangent question, but like when people be making these like spend 30 years making a documentary or like whether it's writing or movies or whatever, like how? Who pays rent?
Yeah,
he,
exactly.
He talks about it, dude. Fucking like losing his publishing deals and getting sued by the publisher and having to turn in all the money again. And like, so yeah, dude.
I swear
real.
every time I'm like watching a documentary or reading something that took like a really long time to do, I'm like,
You're really putting a lot
think he
on
got
the line,
divorced,
dude.
you know?
Yeah, your whole life in this 30-year project that comes out and everybody's like,
it's not
right.
you know? It's like a tool.
I've had better.
But dude, I wanted to bring it up because it's also wildly entertaining. And at the end of the day, that's really what we're all reading for, right? Like it has to be like
to a
something
degree
that holds your interest.
Yeah.
Even if it's technical or whatever, there has to be like a thing. Like it can't be fucking.
well, and that's a
fest.
good, I mean, kind of broad, but good way to think about entertainment. Mm-hmm. Like that it doesn't have to be entertainment. Well, to, I guess full circle. It doesn't have to be Marvel movie flashbang.
Yeah. You're like entertaining yourself, but it's not entertainment. That's a good point. Dude. I like that.
Like I'm sure you're entertained, like twisting compressor knobs, right?
Right.
In the same way that I'm entertained working out paradiddle inversions or whatever.
Yes.
You're entertained.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be mindless or.
I like that.
It can be.
Yeah.
It certainly can be. That's a dip, but maybe that's
yeah, so it's like even if it's like you're learning something, you are being entertained.
Yeah.
So like but you know, so like a book like that or like something that's a nonfiction book of some variety, you know, that has technical aspects to it and stuff like.
it doesn't have to be study or work.
Yeah,
like if you're enjoying it.
Well, it's like an educational podcast type thing,
Yeah.
right? Like it's like, okay, I'm doing this. I'm passively listening to it for fun, but also like this is pretty dope and there's some, you know, rad shit going on.
Yeah.
You ever read any of Isaac Asimov's nonfiction science stuff?
No.
Well, like
the only Asimov I've ever read is like short stories or like little excerpts.
Yeah. I would say I like his nonfiction better than his fiction. As far as his science fiction goes, which obviously is one of the greats, I'm not a big Foundation fan or whatever, so it's okay. But because he's a popular writer, he explains science in a popular way, much like Carl Sagan or something like that. And he was probably more prolific as an actual science writer. And like, so some of my favorite actual science books and level, space and shit like that are from Isaac Asimov. So that's
cool. I've seen some of his like speeches.
Yeah.
Or, like old grainy video or whatever.
That's very cool too.
They're cool. Like, well, much like whatever, like Dawkins and folks like those do like lecture.
Dawkins has got to be pretty close to being dead, I would think.
He's pretty
old, man, isn't he?
He's pretty old.
70s maybe?
I thought he was older than that, but maybe I could be wrong.
I could be wrong.
I've read a lot of, I got fucking way down those fucking rabbit holes, dude,
Do you like Christopher Hitchens?
Yeah, I've only read the big one, God Is Not Great or whatever. That's the only one I've ever read.
I like Hitchens a lot too. And that's another, I'm really mostly familiar with his work in that arena.
Yeah.
But he like spent his whole life being like a war correspondent. He was doing all kinds of crazy, dangerous journalist shit.
Well, that's probably where he fucking got a lot of those ideas.
Probably.
He wrote into all that stuff, you know? Yeah. He's but there's that, so I'll read that and then I'll fucking read whatever, the Bible code or something.
Right.
It's like,
you said you're like a big kind of anthropology guy, right? Have you ever thrown it down and read Origin of Species?
No. No, not. I haven't gone back to the source.
Dude,
I haven't.
Get back to basics, baby.
Exactly. Yeah, I've read
pre-Dawkins on there.
Yeah.
I did.
Of course, Dawkins, all that. Yeah. It is like it's.
Choice probably not the right word there, but like
the version I read too was like a companion version that somebody else was writing about the writing, so there's that too. It's not like Darwin didn't like discover evolution. He really like came up with the mechanism by which evolution works. And was able to prove it through his observations of these fucking birds and shit on whatever Galapagos or whatever, right? So
some of that stuff too, like we were talking about reading old classics, that are like kind of a slog, even if they're really good, it's like old timey and dense.
Yeah.
Old nonfiction, especially like science literature.
Yeah.
Not only is it dense like that, because they're still kind of using that old timey writing style, but there's also like you as a modern person have to have like an extra filter of like read it like it's 100 years old and realize that all of the things even that you might know is kind of commonplace.
Yeah. It was new.
Like he doesn't know any of that shit. Like, and it can be really, it can be fascinating, and it's good to do that, like back to the source. To make a music parallel, like whatever, music evolves and everything is kind of on the shoulders of the things that came before it, right?
Yep.
So if you like listen to, I don't know, like a Car Bomb record, I don't know if you guys know about that band.
I don't know.
Super heavy like math stuff, but it's like the grossest, heaviest, most detuned guitar sound.
Right.
And then compared it to Black Sabbath, you'd be like, Sabbath isn't heavy. What are you talking about? Sabbath's not heavy.
Right. Yeah.
Well, everything's within the context of its era. And
so
its
like
time.
to read Darwin books is like, you got to remember that like Dawkins and everybody else is after.
Yeah. Have you ever read Sherlock Holmes, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle stuff?
Again, if I have, it was as a teenager or an excerpt. Like I've not especially as an adult. Like,
so that was on my list. Like I was saying, of like trying something that, I wanted to take down. What I did with it is I had for the day job, I had to go on a trip to North Carolina for like 4 days, basically like a long weekend thing. But I was totally by myself.
Yeah.
And I got the audio book And it's read by Stephen Fry, the actor, who's like a huge Sherlock Holmes fan. I think he's in the movies or something. He plays like his brother in a lot of the movies.
Oh, he might, yeah.
In the ones with Jude Law.
The Downey ones,
yeah. He's like in those. But anyway, so he reads them, and because he's so familiar with them, he reads the shit out of them, you know. But it's like 32 hours of fucking, and because I was on this trip, it was literally the entire time. The plane, the rent-a-car, the actual work thing, you know, like just the entire time.
I bet about a day and a half in, you were like, I live on Bleecker Street or whatever.
Yeah, that's a lot to digest in the
my
short
eyes
period.
are bloodshot and shit, but like, it is really, really good. But dude, yeah, I went fucking hard on that rabbit hole, and like in a single weekend, I caught it all. You know,
I find myself doing that
elementary.
sometimes.
Yeah, indeed.
That's in anthropology books, the Yuval Harari.
Okay.
It's a book called Sapiens. It's really good. Won a bunch of awards, all this stuff.
I'm pretty sure I have a copy of it, actually.
It's fucking long.
Yeah.
It's fucking long. And for whatever reason, it might have even been pandemic time. Like same kind of an entire weekend, and 18 hours in or whatever, you're like, is this still like, am I hallucinating this, or is this guy just still talking?
When I read Lord of the Rings,
on like this.
I find myself talking to people in Lord of the Rings, like I'm starting to sound like, you know, like, oh my God, dude, like,
it'll take over.
Yeah, for real.
It'll take right over.
All right, we got to fucking wrap this up. Probably, I'm thinking though, we've been at it for fucking probably close to 3 hours here.
Fucking good chats though, right?
Yeah, man, that was fucking great, dude.
sure, man.
Yeah, you got a lot of fucking knowledge on music and shit, dude. It's pretty impressive. And also
library brain. I'm good at trivia too.
And you know, reading too helps a lot
does.
and all that. And that's why I fucking I'm a big book fan.
Brain's a muscle, right?
Yeah, for real. Yeah, so all right, man. Fucking thank you so much for coming on.
My pleasure.
Do you got what I want to ask you? Do you got gigs coming up that people need to know about?
Not much. I don't know when this is coming out.
Monday.
Short hair domestics is playing at Tip Top on May 13th.
Okay, there you go.
And then once it's like June, it's Summer Festival. Kyle Brown and Human Conditions all over the place.
Nice.
Flex is all over the place.
Nice.
Shagbark, Dunesville, Pond Jam, lots and lots.
All right, so fucking look this guy up. Fucking follow the schedule. See every show he's doing.
Mux Mike everywhere.
All right. Sweet. Hell yeah, man. Thank you.
Hell yeah, my pleasure.
Good beach, man.
Peace.